Okay, Candace, I'm in. I don't know if you're in now. I see the thing to add. Yeah. And my internet thing is going in and out too. Oh my goodness. But it's not connecting you. Let me see. I'm gonna play around with the phone and see if. Hi, Kelly. You're here. Yeah, it shows that you're there, but it's not hooking you in. I don't see it hooking you in. All it's showing me is to invite others, and I tagged you. Pamela said she was going to try it in her group to see what she did to make it happen. Oh, you tried. Did you hook in with someone else, Pamela? Did you try to hook in with someone else? To invite it. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, I found. Okay, Candace, it shows inviting, so hopefully it'll work because I slid over to the right. Okay. Supposed to be able to hear each other.
I'm here. You're kind of up.
Oh, now
Yes.
it works. Yay! I guess.
I don't.
Yeah, I can hear
I
you
don't know
now
why
because I wasn't hearing. Oh,
Yeah,
now
my
my
phone
internet. Let me see. My internet is acting funky. Oh my
needs
goodness.
to move.
Okay, I had to put on my what you call it. My Wi-Fi is acting up, so I had to put on. Are you there, Candace?
Are we back?
Okay, we're back. I had to put on my Wi-Fi is acting up, so I had to put on my hotspot. It's not gonna let
Okay.
it stop us. Yeah.
That was acting
Hello,
crazy
greetings.
today. Hi, can you see me?
I can see you good. Yes, I can see you.
Good. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Well, we kind of anticipated that we might have a little bit of some glitches here and there, but that's okay.
I just don't think my phone has the option. I don't know why. I'll have to research that.
Oh, well, she had said to slide it to the left, so you probably didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
I
just
went live
slide it
with
to the.
Pam. I went live with Pam before, but it was like this, like she was hosting and I was in this corner, and I don't know what I was
Mhm.
doing wrong. So, but at
No, because
least
she said something different to slide it to the right to invite you where you see the invitation. That's what it was. So
huh.
I don't think you knew that.
I don't, maybe I didn't do that.
Right.
To try that again, see if it works.
It's like when you do it and you go in, you got to slide it to the left. So you invite me. So if you want to do it again, we can because we just started out with all these glitches. So that we,
So I
if you
press
want
your,
to do that,
let you and left.
huh?
Do we want to do that? Everybody's watch. Do you want me to try that again? Everybody's watching.
Okay, it's up to you. It's up to you.
I'm fine like this. We're already here, so
Fine. Okay.
um,
Okay. So you want to start, or?
Oh, the name and slide it to the left. Well, this isn't going to work. Yeah, I see everybody's already watching, so we can just get started. It's fine because we can hear you. It's just I can see your picture's a little grainy, but it should be okay.
Oh, okay, because you're above me to the right.
Yeah.
So.
Can you see me though?
Yeah, I could see you and I could hear you well.
I'm a boxer, so I figure we already got this started. Let's not mess it up again and go back and all of that. So we wanted to talk, and if you guys have questions, put your questions in. We wanted to talk about these energies, how everybody's feeling, different things that we're getting. I've been guided. I did a video today already talking about just different downloads of energy I've been getting. About the duality and the duality, I think this is going to coincide with what we talk about when we talk about the twin flame community are stuck in like that duality energy of not being open to all points of view and saying, well, that viewpoint is wrong, this viewpoint is right, and really being open to the possibilities that all viewpoints are correct. And the analogy I kind of gave in my video was when you know those religious people that are dogmatically stuck in their beliefs and they say, God is this man up in the sky and that's it. And if you don't say that God is this man up in the sky, you're wrong, as opposed to the true spiritual person that says, yes, I believe in God, but I also believe in the possibility that God doesn't exist, being open to all possibilities of what is, and their perspective isn't wrong or right. It just is their perspective. Like there is no right. That's what I got this morning, like so powerfully. Like there's none of this right and wrong stuff. Like this person isn't wrong because they feel that their perspective is we have more than one twin flame, or my perspective is we don't. It's all correct because we're all on a different journey. We're all on this path and each perspective is correct. And when you get in that duality of saying that this is wrong and I'm right, you're in 3D duality. You're not in the higher dimensions of higher love and higher consciousness because all is correct. And people were asking me this morning, what is the having a soulmate and a twin flame and the divine complement? For me, it's like that template of the God and the goddess having her God and her consort. She's always had the two. When you look at all the history of the goddess and the Isis and the two brothers and all of that. So I don't have a script or a plan. So I figure Spirit will lead us to talk about this. But I was asked this morning they're like, oh, you have a soulmate too. And I'm like, yes, I haven't talked about him that often, but yes, I have a soulmate partner and I have my twin flame and they're both in my life. And that's what's going on. And I'm going to open it up to Sharon because I love how Sharon explains, because Sharon is in a similar place as me as what is this? And that's why that's why I think Spirit guided me to talk about this duality, because we get so stuck, even in the twin flame community, we're stuck in this is right, this is wrong. And we see people going on these campaigns and saying they're false teachers, they're liars because they believe we have more than one counterpart and it's only this way. And that's duality. That's not from Spirit. There is no duality when it is in Spirit. We embrace all, because when you embrace all, you open yourself up to expansiveness. And when you close off to other perspectives, you are closed. The energy is closed and you are stuck. And then the higher love tribe, that's what we want. We want to be open to expansiveness. And we cannot be open to expansiveness if we don't accept the opposing view as being possibly correct, as well as you feel your place is correct. So I'm going to let you, Sharon, you go ahead and explain your perspective on how.
Yes, I'm going to explain things. I'm going to explain things, especially based on my experience, because when I actually realized, because it's all about a self-realization, and it's a realization that I even mentioned to Candace months ago, that actually what was written in the biblical sense is that they made it, the patriarchy system made it seem like as if it was the males that had more than one female, when actually the females, because we started out with the feminine principle that was coming through first, and then we had our consorts. And so for me, even when I started out on my journey, you know, like when I was younger, I found myself that I was in love with more than one person. And it used to be something we were thinking, oh, it's a choice that you can only love one person and that's it. So with some of us, we may be on a path with our own template where we have more than one consort. In some cases, there may be where when someone is probably interacting, or someone who's a higher soulmate, that they may be having that their twin flame experience with that person. Okay, and that person can also be preparing them for their twin. So there's so many different dynamics that we can't lock it all in a box, because this is why a lot of people, or some people, are stuck, because they're only thinking just like the old templates of relationships, that you're only supposed to be married to one person, you're only supposed to be with one person. But we have to understand that the consciousness is a higher expansion, it's a higher expansion of love, and this higher expansion of love is what's emanating through each person, and we must follow our path to where it's taking us with this expansion, because there is no way we can think that the way how things came into creation, that it was only one way. It's multi ways, multi-dimensional, multifaceted. And this is, and also I know what it feels like expansion of this expansion of love is so frequencies and codes and tones, and this is also what brings on more gifts for us on the planet, you see. And so all of the religions and stuff, they try to suppress so many things when it comes to relationships and who we are as divine feminine and masculine and all of that. And so even at the time when I was like questioning myself with all of this, I heard Candace talk about the polyamory in one.
You're breaking
Sorry,
up.
I'm getting issues with the
You're
Wi-Fi.
breaking up. You heard me
Yeah,
about the
can you
poly-
hear me now? I'm breaking up. Yeah, I'm having some, if you could give me just a few minutes, I'm trying to connect the Wi-Fi. That's why it's
Yeah,
breaking up.
I can talk while you do that.
Okay. Okay, so
Exact energetic match, but you also are open. My plant is poking me. You're also open. Twin flame unions. Bring this up is
I was having so much Wi-Fi difficulties. I had to put on my mobile hotspot again. Are you back, Candace?
I'm here.
Okay, so having so much Wi-Fi and I had to go back and put in the mobile. Sorry for the interruption again, but we know why. Were you saying something?
Yeah.
You were saying something?
Yeah, I was talking about the polyamory. I hope everyone could hear me. I was trying to talk while you were.
I believe what Candace was saying with polyamory is that to understand, I'm inviting her back in, trying to get her in again. Are you there, Candace? Okay, I'm bringing her in again. Is to understand that the polyamory is not about. Are you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
I was feeling into your thoughts what you were trying to say, but go ahead, because then I'll just follow up with you where you were talking explaining polyamory.
Yeah, Pam, you can't explain these interruptions. It's crazy. This is like me yesterday. What's going for me? It was always okay. I'll start. All my life, I always struggled with having to be with just one person. It always felt like a struggle to me because I just don't like abandoning people that I love. I don't like rejecting. The only reason I even divorced my husband was because of his alcohol, and it wasn't because necessarily of his alcoholism or what he was struggling with. It was because of my physical well-being was in danger. But other than that, I don't like to cut people out of my life. And I would always have these partners where I always wanted, let's just remain friends, let's remain connected. And they're like, no way. If I can't have just you, I'm not going to stay with you. So that was always a struggle for me. I always naturally wanted to just keep all the people that I loved with me. But yet society always told me I was wrong, that I can't do that. I can't have that one person. And then when I became a twin flame, there was still that part of me, I love my twin flame, but I started opening up to that I can love other soulmates. And that I was always shown that we have a huge tribe of soul members in our soul groups and extended soul groups that are a vibrational match and are a match to me energetically, just as my twin. It's just a different type of match, but it's all a piece of me. And what I wanted people to understand when I tried to talk about this a year ago, that it was met with a lot of negativity and people asking me instantly, people going to the sexual aspect, asking if I was a swinger. Well, how can you do this to your kids? It's like their mind instantly went into the gutter. And this is not what polyamory is. There's different types of dynamics of polyamory. Some commune together, some are separate. I have to say both of my men know about each other. I commune with them in separate ways, and I'm working it out. There's always there's hairballs and glitches here and there. My twin flame knows about my soulmate partner. He knows everything. He accepts it. My soulmate knows about my twin. The honesty is always the key. But the thing is, I don't believe that I have to break up with anybody or not be with anybody if it's divine, if it's divinely supposed to be. But what I'm not saying is that this does not mean you have multiple twin flames. You still have your twin flame, but you also have your counterpart. You also have other pieces of you. And it takes a lot of lining up with the divine and trusting that every single thing that comes to you is for your highest good and from the divine. And it takes letting go of attachments, takes letting go of programming.
You have to
these
be really
templates of what relationships are supposed to be. You have to detach from what society says. You have to really clear through your jealousy and different things that are going on, because there is no jealousy. There's no place for that in these dynamics. But all of my life, I have been polyamorous and wanting to love. That's been my nature. But because of culture and programming, I've always been told, well, no, you need to get married and you need to do this. And both of my marriages ended at the 7-year mark, the 7-year itch they talk about. And I always felt a longing for wanting more and feeling trapped. And it wasn't because I didn't love my person that I was with, but I knew that I had so much more love to give and to be more expansive and loving. But the polyamory to me is being open to loving all different types, and you can still love your twin flame and love your soulmate partners. And yes, at the time where I tried to talk about this, people weren't ready to hear it. And that was okay. But now I'm ready to really talk about this and share this. And yeah, I'm recently talking about my soulmate partner that lives with me, and he's just as much a divine relationship as my twin. The three of us, it's like the harmonious, it's all a piece of me. And this triggers people, and it's hard for people to understand. But I know many of the divine feminines that love their husbands, and they don't want to leave their husbands, and they still have their twin flame. And this causes people to go into a lot of confusion within yourself. But it's letting go of that confusion, that it's not difficult. You don't have to let go of your soulmate husband. You don't have to divorce your soulmate husband. You have your twin flame, and to trust that the divine is going to bring to you what you need. I am now, because I have come out and created the Higher Love Tribe, I've gotten a couple polyamorous clients that want coaching and how to work with their polyamorous relationship. And these templates are coming out, and it's all the power of the divine feminine. And like Sharon was saying, going back to the old templates of the goddess having her god and her consort. The goddess has always had her consort with her.
And it's a
Like what
natural
Pam was saying.
thing. Yeah, it's a natural thing, and that's why, because for some people they don't realize that it is a natural state for us to be that way. But to get back to that natural state, uh, first of all, you have to be open, and secondly, really being detached from
Yes.
what you were taught growing up, and what has been passed on, and what people may think is a normal way to be and to live. Do you see what I'm saying? And there is a saying that he who feels it knows it. It comes back naturally to you when you allow, when you truly allow. Another thing too, I remember, I have a friend. She always used to date different guys, right? And she said to me one day,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could, she said, Sharon, you ever wish you could have just, a man where you could just, because, I'm just using this in reference to those who, because this can apply to heterosexual and transgender. It doesn't matter what type of relationship this is. But
Right.
she said at
Matter
the
your
time,
orientation.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? And she said that I wish I could just put them all in one category or one person, everything to, with what you desire. And, I thought about that when I was
Mm-hmm.
going through my experience for the past 6 months. And I said, you know what, it makes a lot of sense because I have a divine complement and I have my twin. They are brothers. So it makes it even more unique for me. And it's so expanding for me, this type of love that I feel that flows through us, because I'm not only having my twin flame experience through my divine complement, but then he's also with me energetically, and I get it both ways. And it keeps me so alive and it keeps me so invigorated. And it's not about just, oh, if it's just a physical sexual thing. It's an energy, it's a frequency. It is something that gives us an expanding type of connection to that consciousness. And so my divine complement, when I am in contact with him, it is harmonious. It is so harmonious, and it's so blending, and it's like I feel like as if I just come at such peace whenever I'm with him. Now my twin, I'm not in physical contact with him, but I still have that connection with him, and he is more of the alpha male. So it's like, this is like having two worlds together in my space, not necessarily having them physically with me in that space. Do you see what I'm saying? So and also
Mm-hmm.
the polyamorous energy, okay, because it's an energy itself, and yes, it's a label that's placed on it just to be able to explain it, is that, as Candace said, that you could be married and you still have your twin, but you're still having that twin flame connection with your husband or whoever you're with, because we're still heading to a place where if the relationship or the person that you're with, that you don't have a connection to them, it is breaking down. So Candace and I are also going to talk about what's happening with the frequencies and how it relates to whatever type of template that you carry or have. You may not even know what it is yet, but if you allow yourself to move through it, day to day, it will come to you. And I know that Candace and I were brought together because we were like ahead of it with a lot of things that were happening with us to be able to explain it. A lot of Okay, to put on back my hotspot. Okay, so I want to at least say this too, that Candace, you there?
Okay, yeah, I can see. I didn't see
Yeah,
you at first. It was black. Um,
yeah. The Wi-Fi. I
yeah,
put
I
on the
was reading
hotspot.
some questions. Um, Pam was asking about identifying. Do you feel like it will always be a place where you're identifying at polyamorous?
Okay, what I know from what was shown to me by spirit for a while back now, because I have to record everything to what's happening, because we're heading back to a place on the planet where we're all going to be in love with each other. Okay, we're going to all be in love with each other for those who choose to stay on this journey. And I've already had the full sacred sexual full body orgasm, and I had it. As a matter of fact, I have a sacred sexual segment that I did on my channel, Sharon Andrea. I did it back in January, and it was an experience I was having with my divine complement and my twin, and they weren't physically with me. They were not physically with me, but it was stemming from having an interaction with my divine complement while I was on the phone with him. Okay. And what happened is a lot of codes were coming down and flowing through me. So even with the with what's happening with us, when I say us, for all of us who are on this journey, it's where we're going to even be, it's more like a merge. It's like we're merging energetically with one another. Okay, but we are still keeping this sacred between ourselves and who we're connected to. So it's not we're going to be having like a, back in the 60s, you know, there was a concept of free love, but it was more like they were just having sex with anyone and there's not a true connection with whoever that you're with. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's why it's important to understand what that means.
Yeah,
So what
a
I
lot.
know is that we're eventually going to be merging with not having anything to do with our sexual organs. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's why it's important to know that it's a frequency that, because but the sexual organs do play a role with how we are using this connection that we have with our twin or our higher divine soulmate. Do you see what I'm saying? And as far
Yeah,
as the polyamory concept, you could be having that polyamorous experience. I was saying that before I got interrupted. You can be having that polyamorous experience, not necessarily being physically with that person. And that's why we're all going to
right.
be communicating telepathically and merging energetically with one another. And you can't stop it, because I even had found myself
No.
wanting to merge with a female, but I'm not of a same sex origin, but it's because of the natural state to where being in love with each other and how this energy keeps us alive on the planet. When we're not in love and feeling this type of in love energy, that's when things start to die. Do you see? You wanted to
Yeah.
say something?
Well, I was going to reiterate what you were saying about um, everybody wants to jump into like the orgies and the swingers and the this and the that. And it's just, that's like you said back in the 60s when they were talking about free love, they were just talking about just having sex with just anybody and randomly. And I'm not saying that that's right or that's wrong, because then I would be for subscribing to duality as well, because that's not wrong, but that's not what polyamory is.
Mhm.
That's not, polyamorous is loving more than one person, and it's a sacred experience. It's a
Mhm.
sacred with both. You have to, what's so key, and I want to stress, polyamory is not an excuse to cheat. Polyamory, to be in a true
Exactly.
polyamorous relationship, you are honest with both, all parties. All parties know about each other, are that know what's going on. There's no cheating, there's no lying for that to work. And that comes with complete trust in the divine. Complete trust in the divine. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not going to say that I split out with my twin. My twin knew, him and I both, we are both polyamorous. I am more so than my twin. He is, but he's not as open as, he's open to it because he knows that I am. But it was always something honest that my twin and I always talked about when we met each other, that we were polyamorous and we were open to loving all different types of people and bringing them in. So it's very, very important for it to be sacred. There has to be truth and honesty.
Yes,
The
it's
minute you
sacred.
cross into lying and cheating, then you're not really polyamorous, and it's not really sacred, because all relationships, whether you want to be monogamous or polyamorous, all relationships, you have agreements with each other. And when you break those agreements and bring dishonesty into the relationship, then it becomes, you lose the sacredness of it. So to keep it as a sacred relationship, there has to be honesty and love. And if your relationship is the three of you want to be together sexually at the same time, then that's honesty. All three of you want that, or four of you, or however many. Some polyamorous relationships all get married and live together. Some live separately. Me right now, I live with my soulmate partner. My twin does not live with us, but he knows the situation. He's part of it. He knows. It's just an honesty that we have, and it's divine. And I don't try to fight it anymore. I used to always, all my life, I used to fight that. Like, I was like one of your friends. I wish I could take this man and combine them into one, because that's what I thought. I had to have one. But my soulmate partner has qualities that my twin doesn't have, that I love about him. And then my twin has different qualities, and it's all different pieces of me in all of these connections with these men. And the reason we're coming out to talk about this is because we are moving into higher ways of being and higher ways of love. And to really be expansive and be an expansive being, you have to be open to all perspectives. Right, and there are no wrong perspectives. It does not mean that because someone's polyamorous that they're much more spiritual than you, or evolved. Right. A person that wants to be monogamous can be just as evolved. It's not someone has a higher perspective or not. That's not what we're saying. And it's not always an easy situation. It's not a path for every person. Not everybody can be in a polyamorous connection. And will I always be polyamorous? I don't know, but right now I am. Will I one day, when I'm older, just settle down with one partner? Maybe not. I just have that there's no labels to who I get to love, and there's no limits to who I get to love.
And that's where conditions come in, because we're here to shift out of that consciousness of knowing that there are no conditions placed on love and feeling love. And a lot of times people allow themselves to be conditioned about love because of what other people say, or worrying about what other people may say. Do you see what I'm saying? And we're to honor our feelings and to understand it with not having any conditions, because that is also a part of expanding on this love that we have. And the love that we have with our divine counterparts, that love is the expression that we are having through God, as God and gods and goddesses. See?
Mm-hmm. What was Pam, what was your question? You were wondering if you were blocking something by not wanting this for you. Are you asking, what are you feeling, Pam, about that? I'm trying to read into your question, but I don't want to project. You said, thanks for saying that. Were you talking about that you always have to lie, and polyamory is not an excuse for cheating? Because you were wondering if you're blocking something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, and it's okay to, and this doesn't mean that you need to run out and go to a dating site. Like you said, if someone was monogamous, that you want to run out to a dating site and start looking for someone else to date, because that person's going to come to you.
Oh, you think you're saying that maybe that if you have been used to being in a monogamous relationship, that it's okay to feel for someone, you said, or I need to evolve to be. It comes naturally. It comes naturally with this. It's almost like it comes to you because when it happens, like for me, when it happened to me, is because I had let go of feeling that I'm only going to be with my twin. I let it go. And when I let that go and I allowed myself to feel love, and knowing that love is going to come in another way, in another expression, even if it's going to come through someone else, because it didn't change that I still love him and I'm still in love with him, regardless of what it shows in the physical. Okay. And then because of that, that's how his brother came into my frequency. And then I was like, wow, the first day I met him, I told him that I love him because I felt it, because it was something natural from the past life. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the connections we have, it didn't just start just now in this lifetime. It's a connection we've had in many, many lifetimes. And now we are able to live out what we've been feeling in the physical body, but we're still clearing out, you know, a lot of stuff. And the fear that you would have is only because, you know, a lot of times when these things start to happen, because it's new for us in a new way, that there's a worry and a concern about what someone will say. You know, I've been going around telling people, say, oh, you know, I have 2 men in my life, you know, that's it. And I'm not afraid to speak it. I'm not afraid to say it, because most people would keep it. And I was glad that Candace mentioned the word cheating, because cheating is actually a false concept. Cheating, of course, is something that was created because that had to do with lying and going behind someone's back and not telling them. If you know that you're over in a relationship with someone and then you're still going out with someone else and sleep with someone else, and all you're doing is just bringing on more issues and more lower vibrational type of thing. But when you're open and honest and you're coming forth with your feelings about someone and everything, that is what brings on something to come into balance for you. But then when the cheating concept comes in, that's because there's a lie that's taking place, you know, and there's deception. So, but you don't have to
Yes.
be afraid to feel what you feel, because that is what is natural for you. And it's not for anyone to tell you how you should feel, who you should be in love with, even and including if it's more than one person. You
Right.
see?
And then see,
I mean, there's even,
I remember bringing this
go
up
ahead.
with this doesn't mean that you have to, what I was saying, I don't know if I blipped out or Sharon did, it doesn't mean that you, to be highly evolved, you have to be polyamorous or to move into being polyamory. But it's the letting go and being open to possibilities. And when I let go of the fact that it had to be my twin or nothing else, because that was a constrictive energy that was blocking me from the flow. And I simply just told the universe, this is how I met my soulmate partner. I simply just told the universe, I love my twin, you know. And also, I want to say this, as well, because it actually deepens my connection with my twin, because I know no matter what I'm doing, no matter who I'm with or he's with, he's my twin flame, and he ain't going nowhere. That man is not going nowhere. He will always be in my life forever. And my twin and I have already said that to each other. We're never going to give up on each other. We will always be together. And so that freed me up energetically as well. But to open up and know that I can have different types of love, that maybe my twin right now is in a place that he can't give me exactly what it is that I really, really want. And my soulmate can fill that gap. And this is where I started to go into, is when I try to delicately talk to the divine feminine, that don't lock yourself into sitting in the waiting room of longing to be with only the twin. Open up to other possibilities of love, and the universe will bring you other possibilities of love, because you have many of your soul monad tribe that are just as powerful of a match, and you can give your love to them and be with them, and they can fill those pieces where maybe your twin isn't at the time. And it's okay. It doesn't mean you're going to lose your twin flame or you're being disloyal to your twin flame, but you're opening yourself up to the universe to say, this is what I want. My concern is this having a soulmate and wasting their opportunity for a twin soulmate to marry. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say, Pam, you're worried about wasting time of them where they could be with someone else, or concerns having a disloyal yes with
No, you're
another
not being
fear. My concern
disloyal.
is soulmate wasting their
No.
opportunity for a twin. See,
I
your twin
thought
is
the
always going to
same
be your
thing
twin.
too. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Sharon.
That would never change. No, I was
Wasting.
saying that I felt the same way too, Pam. So I know what it's like to struggle through those feelings, because you think that you're being disloyal to your twin, and you think, because I too went through that struggle. And it's like I prayed and I meditated and I asked God to show me what is it that was happening. And it had to do with the fact that I know that I love the two of them, and that will not change. And I couldn't separate it either. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're
Yeah.
not really being disloyal, and you don't necessarily have to feel that you only evolve through polyamory either. You evolve through any type of partnership or relationship that you are having. Okay, so you know that, because you set yourself free when you don't allow yourself to go into the labels and the distractions from what someone else may feel or think, or how you anticipate the outcome to be. Yes, that's it. Unconditional love is like you're having and showing and demonstrating unconditional love. Do you see what I'm saying? And
you're
your
not
twin actually.
I was going to say to Pam, I'm going to let you finish, but I want to say something really quick. She said, if I'm with a guy, will it prevent him from hiding his person? Well, if you're with a guy, you are his person. You are also his person. That's the whole thing that Sharon and I want to make. You know, there's not just ever just one for you. The universe is expansive with so many. So you're not preventing this soulmate partner from being with someone better, because you are. They're with you because you're that better part of them. Does that make sense? That's the holding on to, that there's only one. That's the energy of there's only one. And if this person knows, and see, Pam, it's going to come to you divinely if it's supposed to come to you. The person that's going to come to you is going to automatically understand and know, and they're going to be flowing. My soulmate partner, he knows about Jacob. He's in a different place than Jacob. He's not as completely accepting of it, but he knows, and it doesn't keep him from wanting to be with me. It doesn't keep him from wanting to be with me.
Mine is
when
the
I open
opposite.
myself up to the universe, open. Yeah, he wants to be with me more. And in fact, like I said, with my twin and I, has deepened our connection. But this soulmate partner came to me within like a week of, I had some spiritual work done, some healing work done, and I had told the universe, look, I love my twin flame, but there's a deeper experience I want to have. If you can believe deeper than your twin flame is possible. And I had met my soulmate. Well, him and we had been talking before I actually physically met him, and I never connected him as being this person that was going to come into my life and for this to happen. And it just divinely happened. He came in and he was accepting, and he tried to tell me, he's like, well, Candace, I'm not a monogamous person, so don't get all da-da-da. And I said to him, really? Because neither am I. And then he was like, oh, okay. So we just kind of fit. He thought he was giving me a warning, and I'm like, honey, you don't know who you're talking to.
You're talking to yourself. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's talking to his mirror self. And he said, my soulmate will say that to me all the time. And he's like, there are things, and we said this the other, he's like, all the things that you do, Candace, that irritate me, he says, I do the same thing. And I'm seeing it in myself and not liking it in myself. And it comes across as you irritating me. And it's like, and this is my soulmate, not my twin. So it's the same dynamic. It's almost the same dynamic with my soulmate as with my twin. We trigger each other in things that we see in each other. But you don't have to worry about finding a person and then keeping them from what they're supposed to be doing, because if they're with you, they're supposed to be being with you. I hope that helps, Pam.
Yeah, because sometimes some people think that
she says, I've always been monogamous to a fault. And if you're not
that's
ready,
because
you're not ready. Go ahead, Sharon.
Because no, I was saying that she's feeling that she was always monogamous because of that part of the programming that is within her. And now she's at a point now where she's ready to expand and release any guilt feeling that she may have, to move and propel towards starting with someone new. And you don't have to think that this person is necessarily karmic between you, because there's some who are still in karmic relationships, meaning that there's something to finish off with that person, and we still have some that, we say that we have a soul contract with them. So when you are attracting that higher soulmate, or I call them divine complement towards you, this is because you're ready to expand, and you're letting go of a belief system into thinking that it's only your twin that you can be with, or it's only this one person that you can be with. And you don't have to worry about what someone else may say or how they may feel, because you are being in divine flow with what you are receiving, because you're the one. Because I even had asked mine, I told him, I said, were you at a point in your life where you were ready for true love, at last? Because, it's still my true love. And he said yes. And so that's, because you start to come into alignment with your feelings and alignment with what you are creating, you see, and it brings you greater joy. And then you're like releasing any of that old stuff that we've been taught into thinking that you can only be in love with one person, or even if you could even be thinking that you are just monogamous, because I was too, the same way. And I felt like, oh my God, what if I'm going behind his back, or how is he going to feel? How is he going to think? But always remember that the higher the higher aspect of yourself and your twin is always in alignment with the true love energy and frequency that you have. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's always going to remain that way. And so even if some don't even realize that there are other people that still come into your life and your circle with what you are healing to do with your journey. You understand me? And it's everyone inclusive with all of this, because that's a part of that union that you're bringing on for yourself. I hope that makes sense. You know, because it's so dynamic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even so,
the thing that for me, I could only be in something polyamorous because of my twin flame, because my twin flame will always permanently be with me no matter what. So if I wouldn't be polyamorous with just soulmates. It would always be my twin would be part of it, because my twin is me. And something also to consider too, when people are when you're in that 3D separation from your twin, you don't necessarily have to sit with no love waiting for that twin. And a soulmate doesn't have to be something that's temporary. And a soulmate will always be a part of your life just as much as your twin. This is, yeah, a soulmate feels like a temporary for me, because I know my twin is my person, so this isn't a lot to consider.
Well,
and you don't have to pressure. Right.
Exactly.
Right. We're all stuck on time. We're stuck on time that it has to be this certain way.
Just be in the flow of everything that's happening. Be in that flow always. Just stay in the flow and stay in the now.
Right. And when you stay stuck in, it's only going to be this one person, and that's fine if someone chooses that. And it's not wrong. It's not wrong to choose that. We're just offering a different way to free yourself up. Free yourself up from the pressure that you have to sit in, because we are companion creatures. We long for a mate, a companion. And if our twin flame is off with another soulmate partner or another karmic partner, you're naturally going to feel pain. You're going to naturally feel pain, but you don't have to feel that. You can allow the universe, you can allow a soulmate to come in and heal you and fill that empty place. And that's what we're saying, and that's how, you know, you can come into being in a polyamorous connection. Now, I'm a little different because my twin knows everything. I'm in contact with both my twin and my soulmate, and they both know about each other. Now, my soulmate is very much polyamorous as well, but he's also got that 3D male double standard, where he's not quite as accepting of me being polyamorous as him. And I'm working with that on him. I'm a little more delicate with him about different, you know, my twin, and he knows about my twin, and he knows he exists, but he's not as completely okay with it, because the minute I get my phone, he's like, well, who are you calling? What are you doing? Who are you texting? But he can be on his phone and doing this and that.
That's all you
I never ask him a question. Exactly. I never ask him a question. I never say, who are you talking to? Because I don't care. Like, I know he's with me right now, and I don't need to know who he's talking to. But for him, he's still a little in the 3D. My twin is different. My twin is highly spiritually evolved, and so it's a totally different dynamic. My soulmate's a little more in the well, he is in the 3D a lot, but it's very interesting. But this only works with complete and utter honesty. I would never lie to either one of them. I'm delicate, and I respect both of them, and I give both of them their nurturing time to make them both feel secure with me, and I take care of their needs. But they also know me, and they know how I am. They know about me, and if they want me in their life, obviously they do, because I'm here. And we are all three a match to each other, all a piece of each other. My soulmate is a piece of my twin, just as much as my twin is a piece of him. We're all connected. So it's complete honesty is the only way to be in these types of relationships. But at the same time, I'm respectful of where each one of my men are spiritually and emotionally. I'm not going to traumatize my soulmate by saying, hey, Matt, hey, babe, I'm going to my twin tonight, and we're going to have sex, and we're going to drink wine, and we're going to do this and that and the other thing. I don't do that with I'm not going to do that to him. Now, my twin is a different story. I can give him intimate details, and it's very strange to the average person how my twin and I are.
I know.
And this is where Sharon and I are talking that we are all going to be evolving to and going, oh, my little man wants to say hi. Hi. We're all going to be going to this place where it's free love. Hi. Okay, babe.
And there's no jealousy.
Right. There's no twin and I don't share it a lot with everybody. I'm sharing it more in this group, but my twin can call me and we can talk to each other about things that you would talk to your best friend that you would never probably talk to with a normal stop. Okay. And that's where we're headed. We're headed in that free love where we love each other so much that we're going to accept who the other one is, no matter what. Were you going to say something, Sharon? I'm not sure if I...
Oh, no, I was just listening to you in that, because with me it's the opposite, because it's my divine complement who's more open to the polyamory, and he even had a past life memory of when we were all living together under one roof. And it's ironic because he and I both have children, but my twin doesn't, you know, and we just complement each other in so many ways, And, you know, one of the greatest suggestions that I make for anyone who's on this journey, and if you may not even know or understand if you are or not, there is no rules to this. There is no book to this. It's just being in the present moment of what you're experiencing and what you're feeling. Pay attention to your feelings. Pay attention to the signs that you're getting. Even my twin's higher self, brought me saying that he loves me and his brother, and I'll tell you, be very honest with you, he's extremely jealous. He does have that jealous thing, so he's not in as much acceptance, but I still know that he's still where he's at in terms of his own spiritual growth and everything. And sometimes, oftentimes, as far as when it comes to our twins or our divine counterparts, there is something also higher taking place here, where, you know, the spirit is going to bring them back and hold them back, because there's something for us to heal, or to come forth with more things for ourselves on this journey until we come back together again. Then we might separate again, because I still was having that same thing with my divine complement. There was moments of separation, clearing, alchemizing, all of that was still happening with him. So it's not just with your twin that you have this, but of course, you know that with your twin it's more intense and all that stuff, and it's still a part of the process. It's a part of the process. And as a matter of fact, I was trying to say to before the thing had interrupted, is that right now we were in the Lionsgate portal, the full moon, the partial eclipse, now the full eclipse. And what I know what's happening is that all of the relationships and the experiences that we've had with our divine counterparts, and you know, whomever it is, it's either collapsing with anything that doesn't serve us, whatever's endings, whatever part of us that's ending, so we can come even to more wholeness with ourselves, with the truth and our gifts and what serves us the highest and best. And so it's emotionally painful, because I told Candace I was really going through my own emotional pain as well, and what was happening in my solar plexus, and all these things is what's happening for us. And it's important to just pay attention to it and allow yourself to just go through it and flow through it. And you might find yourself going on repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, you know, thinking that you cleared up something that you may have experienced with your twin or your divine soulmate. And it doesn't mean that it's something else is not going to happen, or that it's over. It's just a process. It's a process that we're all going through, and it's a part of how much more we are ascending. It really is a lot about how much more we are ascending, and how much more of these layers, yes, layers and layers, and getting past the illusions also. And, you know, one of the things that I love, especially for myself on this journey, is that, yes, we have a lot of books and videos and stuff out there, but I'm telling you, one of the greatest things that I love more than anything else is the direct now signs that I receive from the universe, because that is what is the key thing for me to know I'm on the right track. And even though it, you know, it's like you're feeling the pain, you're still moving through it and moving in the direction of where you're being led to it on this journey. And letting go of the labels is so important too. Letting go of these labels and attachments that we may have to the outcomes of all of this, because the oversoul is choosing to experience all these different dynamic templates that we all have. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's important to just keep focusing on what's happening with you and in relation to what you're experiencing, so that way you have less pain that you're feeling. Because if you're more focused on what the other person is doing and what's happening with them, it's like you're taking on even more than what is not necessary. You
Right.
see?
You're
So
taking on the pain. And for me, it was almost like when my twin and I became so harmonious together and he no longer was triggering me, that's when my soulmate showed up. Now my soulmate
yeah,
is the one that
that's
triggers
it.
me all the time. My twin,
Yes,
no.
yes,
Like you
it's
said,
true. My
he and I
twin doesn't trigger me anymore either.
at all. Like we can talk on the phone and he'll go, "You know me, babe." And he goes, "You know how I am." And we know each other so well. And then here comes my soulmate who is triggers me, and I'm just like, irritates me and upsets me. And he's the one that triggered my abandonment yesterday when he went away for the weekend, which I knew. And I talked about that yesterday. That wasn't my twin. So the twin, I'm going to go inside. My son is, the twin, it's not always just, you can have just as much of an intense experience and intense triggering with your
Yeah,
soulmate connection as you do with your
true.
twin. So it doesn't mean that
Yep.
because you're with a soulmate that everything's all happy and peachy. It's all part of the growth, all
Yes.
growth. And that's what came to me the other day. I was driving and asking about my soulmate, and I still will ask the divine, so why did you bring the soulmate to me? Is my soulmate going to stay? And there's like, as long as you still have the lessons that you need to be learning, we're not going in the pool. Ask me again.
I go to the same thing too.
Oh
It's
God,
wonderful when you go
anytime
through
I'm
this
on
with
here, I
kids
tell
too.
you, um, it's as long as the lesson is still here for me to learn, I welcome him into my life. Now, how many of the divine feminines out there have had a divine compliment come to them and they reject them because they want to sit and wait only for the twin flame?
Yeah,
I could very easily told my soulmate, no, take a hike. But I
Mhm.
knew divinely when I met him, it was just as intense when I met my twin flame. And I thought, okay, now there's something to this that I need to pay attention. Because when I met him, I was scared. I was like, how can I have these intense feelings for this man
Me too.
when I have my twin flame? I felt disloyal to my twin flame. I felt like I had to lie to my twin flame. And I felt like, and as soon as I let that go, I'm like, let it go. Trust the divine. Trust that innate knowing that I have, that nothing that comes to me is anything that comes, everything that comes to me is supposed to come to me.
Mhm. That's right. And it's like, for me, I like I said, I wrestled with it too, just like Candace did. I sure did. I wrestled with it so much, and I didn't even know. Oh, the video is gonna soon end. It says forfeit. I heard that they're timing Facebook Live videos now.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, I just saw the thing go up on the screen that it's gonna soon end.
Well, I
But
can start a video then and we can keep
you can start
talking
with,
now.
yeah, because I know there's
Yeah.
so much questions around this. It's been a long time that Candace and I wanted to do this to help for those who are starting out, because what's going to happen is that there are a lot more divine feminines, especially, that are going to start to experience with more of their counterparts coming into their energy field and not knowing what to do, and then staying stuck, because even sometimes it may not necessarily mean that you will not see your twin again, or if it's never going to happen again. Sometimes it's because there's something more to your path for you to heal or to explore and to expand, and it may be that that person may just be the facilitator towards your path
Mhm.
with your twin, okay? And it may be a case where you're having both together or separately and together, so, but it's not to worry about how it's going to look when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and in what way, and how, you know, each one is to just keep going within that divine flow and pay attention to your signs and the feelings. That's the most important thing, is to honor those feelings, because if we don't move towards the direction that we're being taken by the divine, that's how you stay stuck, and you start to keep feeling pain and start to feel the rejection and all of that. And it's to, yes, to trust. I mean, even myself, I had a hard time, like I said, wrestling with trusting it. And I listened to myself, and I allowed myself, and what it did for me has been enormous. And yes, it hasn't been 100% perfect, because I was triggered this week with my divine compliment, with rejection, you know, being blocked and all these things. But I still know that whatever is happening for something to clear out from our space and our energy field to what is happening in our in my dynamic. You see what I'm saying? Because each one of us is clearing something, so that way, as we see, still keep coming together, we're expanding, and then we're also integrating the shadow parts of ourselves, and that's where each one of us comes into who we are connected to. You see?
Mhm.
So it's important to allow, to really allow that
it
to move
it
through it.
becomes, yes, and this goes in, and I did a video in I Am a Twin Flame when I was talking about when you allow, you let go of the attachments of how you think things are supposed to be. You let go of thinking that, oh,
Yeah,
well, that person is wrong because they think they have more than one twin flame, or that person is wrong because of that. That's creating duality when you become that blank sheet of paper to the
yes,
divine. You don't have
that's right.
conditions written on it. You don't have this rule and will do that. And then you have,
Mm-hmm.
like, in my case, my soulmate showed up. And at first I was scared. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, why am I having these intense feelings for this
I said the
person?
same
Why
thing
do I
too.
keep this person in my head 24/7? What the hell is going on? I could have, and I trusted him. Like, okay, I'm going to trust that what I tell everybody, that people come into your experience because they're a match to you at that time. And I'm going to trust that this match is coming to me for a reason. And right now, my
Right.
soulmate is my trigger. He triggers me. He is very much the alpha male. He's very much the opposite of like my twin. My twin is very soft and gentle, and he's very in touch with his
And
feminine
my divine
side.
compliment is
And
soft.
and
That's so funny.
and he's very much the alpha male, like, you know, I'm the man, I'm going to do this, and I'm okay with that.
My
And
twin.
it's all, it's learning. It's part of my soul's growth.
It's gonna end in 54 seconds.
Okay, so let
Just
me
to let
try to
you
go
know.
live, and I'll see if we can do this again.
Yes, because there's so much for us to keep talking about this.
I didn't know
You
everybody
know,
was
as we're
talking
heading through
this.
this eclipse. Yeah, this eclipse is really allowing us to shift, really, really shift out of what's within our subconscious mind, to release ourselves and to let go and to allow and to feel. And truly, truly, truly just trusting and knowing that we are letting go of the old thought patterns about what we think these partnerships should look like. Okay. Just think about for any of you that may be at a place where you're going to feel like you want to be married to two people. That is the kind of new templates that we're grounding on the earth, is new partnerships and being in our total blissful joy with all of this. That's right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we're going to come back on with Candace. It's ending now.
Okay.
Take three. I'm back again for Candace and I to come on. We are going to get this going. Yes, we are. Mercury rich, and it's a lot of powerful goddess energy flowing between me and Candace, because every time I come on, my Wi-Fi just goes out, and I have to use my mobile hotspot. How ironic, right? Oh, it's getting hot in here. Which is amazing. Okay. Okay, let's see. Candace, get you on, Candace. It's getting very, very, very warm with Mercury retrograde to get us on here, but it's all right. We're gonna get it.
Okay, I'm
Hey, Candace.
here.
There's some
There's
powerful energies
something.
flowing between all of us. Because my every time I go on the live, my Wi-Fi just goes right out.
I know, and
Thank
well, this happens to me with other spiritual women. Like we call it
you.
every time the phone will
Powerful.
disconnect or something
Yep.
electronic
Yep.
goes
It's
on.
powerful. I bet you if you invited someone else, it'll go through. With It's so funny. Oh my goodness. But it's okay. We're holding it together here. I'm walking around with the phone so that way wherever the frequency with the Wi-Fi and whatever, so it doesn't conk out. Hopefully that'll help.
Well, yeah, it was
Yeah.
both of us last time because
It's
both
both
of
of
our
us.
screens just like,
It's
"Whoa,"
both our
like
frequencies.
we're
Yep.
glowing.
Yep.
Okay.
Spirit told me it's both our frequencies because we've never done this before. Aha.
Uh-uh. No, we haven't like shared a broadcast. We've talked many times, but
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So, but it's all well. It's all well. Part three, take three.
Yeah, part three. Now we've got more people. We've got more people watching, so hopefully this time we get to, no interruptions. Lilo's
Yes.
watching, Pam,
Hi,
Michelle, Meg.
Hi,
Um,
Michelle, Pam. Yes.
yeah, we're talking in the first video about polyamory, and the energies too. These energies, if anyone has questions, put your questions in and we will
Yes,
answer them.
please. Please ask questions. I
Um,
love when we get questions in.
we're
And
talking
know
about
that.
having soulmate partners and twin flames, and you can have it all if you want. You can have
Mhm.
it all if you want. And
Yes.
so many of my clients, the divine feminine clients, there's both types. There's some that are getting ready to leave their husbands and they want to end the marriages, and there's others that love their soulmate partner and want to stay with their soulmate partner and their twin flame. Um,
Mhm.
I'm actually, since I have come out talking about this polyamory, I've gotten a couple clients that are in the beginning stages of polyamory and wanting to keep their husband and their twin flame and everyone. This is where we're evolving, and this is where my energy frequency is with the having both. I have a soulmate partner and my twin flame. Now I've known my twin flame much longer than my soulmate partner. I met my soulmate partner, I'll tell you guys, so I don't share this with everybody. I tried to share it before and I triggered a whole bunch of people. I mentioned this in my last video and instantly people want to start going, oh, are you swingers? No, we're not swingers. That's not what this is about. But I met my soulmate partner on a website online. I believe in total honest with any man I meet to tell him about my twin flame. Yeah, Meg, I remember that story when you went on a date with that guy and you told him about your twin. But that's the key to polyamory. You must be honest. All
Yes.
relationships have some type of agreement that the people coming together have some type of agreement. And polyamory is not an excuse. It's not cheating. You can't be a cheater and just say, oh, well, I'm polyamorous. No, you're a liar. That's what you are. You're
Right.
dishonest with yourself. You're dishonest
Mhm.
with your partner. That's not polyamory. Because for a true polyamorous connection, you must be completely honest with each other. And when I
Mhm.
met my soulmate partner, he was in Afghanistan. And I wasn't even thinking about him being any type of romance. And then finally he said, Candace, I want to meet you. And he's from a town 20 minutes from me. And so we met. And then when I met him, I was like, holy crap. Why did spirit bring it? Was just as intense as my twin flame, just as intense. I couldn't get him out of my head. All I could think about was him non-stop. And he
Non-stop.
triggers me. He triggers me just as my twin triggers me. He's just as much as a mirror um, as my twin was. And I just accepted with the divine. I thought, I'm not giving my twin flame up. And if anything, being in this polyamorous connection with my soulmate has helped me deepen my connection with my twin because my twin knows everything. He knows every detail. He knows everything about this. Sometimes he does tell me he doesn't like that I'm polyamorous. He said it triggers him. But he doesn't go away. He doesn't go anywhere. He's my twin flame. He still loves me. And we still say, I love you. And he says, babe, we could go months without talking. And he's the one that said that to me because I remember when I first told my twin about my soulmate that I met, I was crying. We were sitting out on his balcony and I was crying. And I said, but I don't want to lose you. And he's like, you're never going to lose me. He said, Candace, he's like, we could go 2 months and be okay and not speak to each other, and you're never going to lose me. And it made my connection with my twin much, much stronger. It helped me to realize that everything that's happening to me is divine. Every single thing that's happening to me is divine and supposed to be happening. And just because Sharon and I are talking about polyamory doesn't make us above anybody, any of you that are not. It doesn't mean that monogamy can't be just as spiritually evolved. It's anytime we get into the duality of thinking your way is wrong and my way is right, we have to embrace all ways of being. So I was hoping to make comments.
And we definitely are doing this. We've been trying to do this for months now, but we still have to go through our own purging, clearing, healing. It doesn't, it's just that we're doing double work.
Yeah.
And we do know that we just came from that same frequency of from Sirius and all that stuff. And the Syrian codes are coming through a lot for many of us. And so, we just like on a soul level, just knew that we were going to be talking about this to help and assist for those who are starting on that path. They probably have, but they just don't understand. And sometimes it's important who you're listening to on this journey where there's no dogma and judgment, because there's even some judgment and dogma that's even in the twin flame community.
Oh, wow,
And
yeah.
we're keeping it at a place where there is no judgment and there's no fear, and we can speak openly and honest about who we are, where we are on our journey. And it's not anyone better than the other, but it's to help you, so that way, and even if it doesn't help you, you're probably going to come into contact with someone else who's going through this, and it helps to set them free. Do you know what I mean? And I know that Pamela asked a question which I wanted to answer for her. When you said you still wasn't sure if you wanted to date and you wanted to know how you'd be honest with your twin. The honesty that comes with this is being honest with yourself, being honest with your feelings. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're not in contact with your twin that you're going to call up your twin and say, hey, there's someone else that I'm gravitating to or connected to, and I want to go out on a date. Can I have your permission? I want to explain. It's not in that sense. It's about you being open even with the person that you're maybe going to be dating or being connected to. Okay, and that person coming into your life, if and when the person comes into your life, if it is already, it's about being open to them about who you are and your feelings, and that it may not necessarily change anything to do with you and that person. And you don't have to feel guilty because if you're not in contact with your twin, to tell them, because the connection you have with your twin is not going to change. It's always going to be there. And you know what? Your twin's higher self gives you permission, because that's the gift that you're receiving from them, and it's still coming from you. So that way you feel free to express and to feel that love. So hopefully that helps you with that, so you don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah, you don't have to feel bad about it. And if you're feeling bad about something, that just means you're not a vibrational match to what you want, because our emotions are always an indicator to where we are vibrationally. So let's say you are, because Meg has been with me for a while, and she said that I helped her understand that we all deserve companionship, and her twin is married to someone else right now. So Meg doesn't have to sit around and wait and pine away. She has the right to call to the universe, bring me a high vibe soulmate, and that high vibe soulmate will show up. And when that high vibe soulmate shows up, you're going to feel fucking good about it. You're not going to feel bad.
My God. And then some.
Yes, and if you go on a date or you meet someone and you feel icky or you feel bad, pay attention to that. Then that's maybe not the person. It doesn't mean that you should close yourself off, because what I see with the divine feminines, we close ourselves off and we say only my twin flame, and that is it. That's all that will make me happy. Well, maybe that's true for where you are, but you're keeping yourself stuck, because maybe it's right now in this moment that it's not meant to be with your twin flame right now. Maybe right now in this moment you are not supposed to be, the doorways are not open yet for you to be with your twin flame. And accepting that, it doesn't mean never, but it also doesn't mean close yourself off from love, because we are creatures that want to mate. We want a mate. And it is okay to say, I want a mate. I don't want to sleep alone. I don't want to live alone. It's okay. If that is your desire, then you tell the universe, I don't want to be alone. I love my twin flame, but he's married to someone else. Or for whatever reason, you're not coming together in this point. You tell the universe, I'm open to possibilities. Now you can make the choice to stay stuck and miserable and pine away. That is a choice that you can make. But you can also make the choice to be open. It doesn't mean you have to go on a dating site and start searching. Okay. I don't recommend that. But if you want to do that, go ahead. But when you're open to the universe will bring you love in all different types of relationships. And it doesn't have to be a sexual relationship. It could be whatever you are ready to be open to. And that's what I try to stress all the time to the divine feminine. It doesn't mean that you're rejecting your twin, or you're not going to be with your twin, or you're going to block yourself from being with your twin. In fact, it's the opposite. It was the opposite for me. When you hone in and think only the twin flame and this is it no matter what for me, the universe is so broad and huge and expansive. The universe and the divine does not ask us to suffer, does not tell us you must suffer to get your reward. That is
or that you must be alone. No.
You do not, yes, and you do not have to be alone. There's no reason for that, but you still are a twin flame and you still have your twin. You still are in that twin flame consciousness. So give yourself permission to open up to this expansiveness of love. And I mentioned this in my last video, that my twin does not trigger me anymore. I've been in this life, and spirit revealed to me 2 years ago, when I was told I was a twin flame, revealed to me that I would be one of the ones that would be with my twin, because the reason I'm with my twin is because the purpose of it is to teach you guys, to be in my mission. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm somehow more enlightened and I'm just lucky. No, because it's not easy. This was part of my personal mission, so I can teach through my experience, because so many people are on YouTube talking and sharing their experiences, but they're all at the same level, right? We have to have people at different levels to teach. Now, when you want to expand to a different place, you don't go to a person to teach you that's at the same exact place you are, okay? So there has to be teachers and light workers that are ahead on the journey, so they can teach you and guide you to get to where you need to get. And so that is how that's the reason I am here with my twin and having this experience, and Sharon's having her experience. It's not because we're better. It's not because we're more evolved. It's just, this is our journey. We're teachers. Not everybody's meant to be a teacher and a way shower, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. That is, part of this experience where we're coming out to teach this. So being with my twin, being in this is brought me closer to my twin flame. It has brought me deeper to my twin flame, because before, when I was completely fixated on him, I blocked myself from expansiveness. When I let go of gripping him and thinking it had to be him no matter what, what's he doing? Why isn't he calling me? What's he up to? Why didn't he ask me to do all this stuff? When I let that go and I met my soulmate, now I'm at a place where I feel at ease. And I think this is what helps, and it eases up the energy when we start being willing to talk to other soulmates and meet other soulmates and meet other people, because it opens our energy. It gets us to get rid of that attachment to the one specific person. And you can still do this and be a monogamous person. Okay. You don't have to become a polyamorous person. You can still be a monogamous person, because if your twin is married to someone else and there's no end in sight of his marriage, there's no reason you can't date and be monogamous with a high vibe soulmate. You can do that too. The point is, as the divine feminine, we are the architects of our life. We create our life. We choose our life. That is, so I hope that helped you guys. That is where your twin, I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah, Pamela, you were saying you're not sure if you should tell him if you decide to or not. This is what I always recommend. Again, follow your heart. If you feel you're receiving signs that you should say something, then by all means. And that means you're saying it not with any expectations or feeling bad, or feeling if you're hurting them, because I know that's some of the things that we may feel, because if you're compassionate and think, well, what if I hurt their feelings, or what if you're being totally honest and you're being open, and you're just allowing yourself to free yourself from anything that we've been taught to feel guilty about how we feel or what we're experiencing. And you don't have to necessarily say anything. You're not obligated, because there's that programming that we belong to our twins, we belong to this person, or even people who are in marriages, we're still being sovereign with ourselves. You know what I mean? It's a part of our own freedom where we love the person, we love them from a distance, or we love them whether they're in our lives or not, and just being open to anything and all possibilities. So you're not restricting yourself, and you're not, overly worrying about things that you don't have to necessarily. So you follow your own inner guidance. You know that when the universe is guiding you and giving you messages and signs, do this, say that, you'll know when to. And it's like, I don't get guidance to contact my twin. I don't, and I know he feels things that I'm feeling and thinking at times with my divine complement. It's the same thing. And then I know I can talk to him about anything and whatever has come freely for me to say and to speak, and when not. There was times when I was feeling uncomfortable even calling his brother's name to, because then I started to feel guilty, like, oh, I don't want him to think that, because he asked me in the very beginning, oh, am I trying to get him to get to his brother? And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. And I was just totally honest with him from the very beginning to let him know what was going on in my life, and that, I was on a twin flame journey. I just told him the truth, and I broke down and I bawled and I bawled and I bawled. It felt so good to just release it out and to tell him, because I felt and knew that it was going to come out anyway, because I choose to feel free within myself and not hold any of this inside. You understand what I'm saying? Because all I think about is, what's the worst thing that can happen? Usually nothing at all. So I say,
Mhm.
follow your inner guidance, and you'll be surprised how much more magical things start to open up for you when you do that. You see what I'm saying? It's like we're being honest and we're being authentic. That's the key word too, authenticity, being authentic with our feelings, authentic with our paths and our journeys. And, even with Candace, when she described, we all are, have different templates that we are anchoring on the earth, what we're bringing to the earth, and the changes with relationships. Okay, total change, total drastic changes. And that means that we're releasing so much stuff that we have carried as far as what we think relationships should look like, what it should feel like, how it should be, and see how it just brings more harmony for you, and it brings more harmony for all those around you, because it's not even just divine complements and our counterparts that we are also shifting with, but also the people that are around us. It's everyone and everything. So that way it'll help you better, so you don't have to feel restricted and restrained to who you can love and what you love. This is about being in love with life and being in love with everything. And even if anyone else has an issue with it, who gives a fuck? And that's it.
Mhm.
That's it. That's it. You really let go of all the fucks. And being
Yeah.
honest with you, all of
Yes.
it.
And
Yes.
it's people are going to start coming around to this, and the reason a lot of the twin flames, they resist this, is because they have created their own reality of, it's almost like they've turned the twin flame into a religion. It's the
Religion. Exactly.
What
Mm-hmm.
came to me today as I was laying in bed, it's the spirit told me it's the twin flame consciousness we need to be in. Just like we're in the Christ consciousness, we need to be in that twin flame consciousness of supreme twin love. And our true ultimate twin is our higher self and our higher wisdom and our higher guidance within
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And then when we're in that flow of that, our higher self, and connected with that twin, our true twin, our higher self, then our frequency will attract our energetic match, our energetic twin flame match in the
Match.
3D. So
Mm.
that is what we want to attract. And that energetic match can manifest a fragment and a piece of us in a soulmate, in a divine soulmate. And I describe these soulmate tribe members as just like our DNA family in the 3D. They're soul DNA connections in this, from the soul monad. So there's a spark of that person within us. My soulmate triggers me just as intensely as my twin flame used to trigger me. Now he's a different person. He's got a different personality, a different aspect of me. He's kind of, I honestly have to say, my soulmate manifests the darker aspects of my personality. And darker, I don't mean evil, but by darker, I mean the deeper wounded core
Deeply
pieces of me.
wounded poor.
Whereas
Yes.
twin did trigger me, but this soulmate brings out those deeper, intensive parts of me that need to be uncoiled and looked at and released. Um, But we need to be open to all possibilities. And that's not just with romantic relationships, and I posted a video in all the groups that I did, to be open to the possibilities of the opposing viewpoint, open to the possibility of, if you're monogamous, don't say that we're wrong because we're polyamorous. And I'm not going to say you're wrong because you're monogamous. Be open that both are right. There's no right or there's no wrong. I am just right now in a polyamorous connection. It suits me energetically much better. It feels much better because I don't have to dump anybody or break up with anybody. I don't have to do any of that. And the relief that came my twin was so powerful. And I think I said this, and I'm going to probably keep saying it more than once. Polyamory is not a cheating thing. It's not, you can't be a cheater and say, oh, well, I'm just polyamorous. No, that's not, because we wouldn't need to be lying. And first off, I mean, if everybody would just allow the flow of love to be, there would be no cheating. There would be no dishonesty. If you could just be honest with the person and say, look, I have this person that I love, and I love you. I love both of you. And if that person doesn't like it, then let them move on to somebody else. Don't lie to them to keep them. That's dishonest. Let them move on to someone that wants to be monogamous. Don't have a person and then have another person and lie to both of them. You have to tell them both the truth. And if they don't want to be a part of it, then they're not meant to be in your experience. Don't change who you are. I found myself doing that a lot. I would lie about who I was to myself and be with this one person. And then I'd try to be with someone else, and I would end up having to lie or be dishonest or avoid telling the truth because I didn't want to lose that person. And I finally realized I'm not going to lose these people if they're meant to be for me. What is mine can never be taken away from me. So both of these men are still in my life. I tell them both the truth. Now, I respect both of them where they are at different places. Now, my twin is different. I can tell him more than I can tell my soulmate, but my soulmate knows Jacob exists. He knows who he is. And yeah, you have to be completely honest. And they stay because they're meant to, and that's how spirit works. And when you don't question it. I mean, if you have to question it or feel bad about it, maybe it's not in resonance with you. But when you let go and surrender, and to know that everything is divine, you cannot be rejected or abandoned. You're always going to be safe. And you have the right. And if you feel bad because you only want to be with your twin flame, and maybe your twin flame's married or they're in a relationship, and you have no way of knowing if this person is ever going to leave that other person. You have the choice to stay stuck and wait. And if you feel good waiting, then do that. But most of the divine feminines, y'all are not happy sitting around waiting for and I'm just going to call you guys out. You are not happy waiting so to speak. And you don't have to be unhappy. You can choose a high vibe soulmate. I mean, give yourself permission to do that. You stay, yeah. So, belong to companionship.
Another thing too I wanted to say, I'm being guided, is that a lot of times people are forgetting that the twin flame connection is not just about having a relationship with them,
Yes.
but it's the relationship you're having with yourself. And that they are in place, including your divine complement, whether it's a higher soulmate divine complement or your twin, is in place to facilitate your ascension, to facilitate what you are healing within you, the triggers and all that, especially from past lives, especially from the beginning. I know that many of us on here have had our triggers that started from the very beginning of time, whatever name you want to call Atlantis, time from the biblical reference, whatever. It's the same timeline, different names. And all of that, the history of what we have experienced with relationships had fallen apart. And so now we're bringing ourselves back together, and it is through these divine partnerships. And I know that what was shown to me is that we are heading into that place of all of our divine partnerships. So trust and know that the divine is always going to lead you onto the path where you are to be. So if you're guided to go somewhere, the first thing sometimes one does is negate it and stop and hold back and go into the fear and the doubt and the worry and all of that. And so this is about how can I move forward with what's happening in my life and not having fear behind it. And the other thing too is that this experiences that we have, whether it's as polyamorous or monogamous, it is what is holding in place when majority of us is in love. You know, we're in love, and that in love frequency is what is holding and bringing things together for the greatness of who we are becoming. You see? And the fear, that's right, Meg, the fear, the doubt, the worry, and what how we expect the expectations of what we think it should be or how it should look and what someone else might say. There is just so much even for the feminine to understand about her body and how important it is that we relate to our bodies also when it comes to the connection that we have to our divine partners. Because even when my divine complement came into the picture with me, he helped me a lot to heal with a lot of stuff, even with sacred intimacy and all of that. And you'd be surprised that there are some who choose not to propel towards moving towards someone else, and you don't know that person is in place to help you to heal with more stuff before you can come back with your twin. You see?
Yeah.
And when that's happening, there's alchemy taking place. Okay, there's alchemy taking place and things that are clearing up and all of that, so that way we can come back together in that wholesomeness. So if you feel guided to go on that date, to go be with someone, remember that that is in place to help you to move towards what is coming up for your healing and to bring things together. And it could be whether it's temporary or it could still be together. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
it. That's it.
I'm so glad you said that, because you may be a monogamous person. Okay. You don't have to become, Sharon and I are polyamorous. You don't have to be. But if this soulmate comes to you, he's preparing you to ultimately be with your twin. So my twin doesn't trigger me anymore. We've triggered each other out. We've tapped out on
Mine
that.
doesn't either. Mine doesn't either. I don't get triggered at all.
Okay, Candace, you got some more shit to look at, and we're gonna bring you some more stuff. and that soulmate is gonna come and heal you. And healing doesn't mean it's gonna be la-di-da jumping through the field with unicorns and butterflies. No, that's not spirituality.
Nope. No.
Get down to the nitty-gritty, and you're in dealing with your stuff. So that person may show up. You may be blocking yourself and staying stuck because waiting on the twin, because you may perpetually keep yourself stuck, and turning your back on that soulmate that shows up is another person in your journey to teach you and to prepare you for an even deeper connection with your twin flame. Because remember, guys, what I said, this soulmate that I have, he has helped. He doesn't understand that he has, but he has helped deepen my connection with my twin. And that is a healing process. So ultimately, I'm going to take what I'm learning from this soulmate, and whether him and I stay together forever and I marry both my twin and this soulmate, or I marry my soulmate, or whatever, I'm just trusting that what's supposed to happen is going to happen for me. But
I even had dreams that I had children for both of them. So, and it's because of the expansion that's happening on the planet. And Archangel came and told me that in a dream just last week. So, and no matter what, it's like we are breaking ground here. We're breaking ground of a great magnitude of what is natural. This is the natural state of who we are. It is. The consciousness, the heart consciousness of God is really truly encompassing. It's everlasting. It doesn't end. It's in a cycle of change and movement and rapid movement, you see, and truly letting go, especially what the eyes can see. And also something too, what Spirit is guiding me to mention is that do know that when, you know, the higher soulmates or anyone that comes into your life that's other than your twin, that you still get triggered, you're still healing through stuff, and there's things that's still going to come up, you know, to do with them that's reflecting from you. So it goes both ways. So there's still going to be a breaking down of things, and things like they're falling apart, you know. I call them fragmentation, you know, becoming fragmented. And it's just being able to realize it at the moment when it's happening, and knowing what it is and where it's taking you. And a lot of times there's things that you might perceive that they're doing something with it. Because even when I had a moment with Colin, and I felt like he abandoned me, and I said, well, why did you do so? And he's like, I didn't do that. I said, yes, you did. And he said, but that's not what my intention was. I said, but that's how I was feeling. So he still was in place to what he had to do to trigger me to what I had to heal. Same thing like what happened with Candace, what she was experiencing as a little girl. And I told her she was experiencing something not only as a little girl, but moments with her twin when they left and died or something. And we're just replaying those things out, you know what I mean, until we can still start to feel even more freer within ourselves. And it's an energy. It's to remember, whatever you're experiencing, that's not who they are, that's not who you are. It's an experience and an energy that is coming into your space to heal, to shift, to change, to alchemize, so you can feel even freer and be have a healthier you and a healthier relationship with the person that you are dealing with at the same time. So
And so another thing I want to bring in, because we brought in the last video about time, we get so wrapped up in time frames here in the 3D. Whether this twin flame is gonna this soulmate's gonna be with you for the rest of this human earth experience, or it's gonna be your twin flame, we've got to kind of let go of that idea, because it's timeless. There's no time. And when we can let go, because I myself get myself caught up in the same thing. I'm like, I'm 43 years old. When am I gonna have that one person and that one thing? When am I gonna have what I want? I'm like, wait a minute, okay, chill out. Let's let go of the time frame. There's no time frame. And we're healing through these old pain bodies that keep coming up. And mine, what happened to me yesterday, it felt like it came out of nowhere, but that it was still active within me. It was still a frequency of abandonment that was active within me, that goes deeper than when I was that little girl. And that was with my soulmate, not my twin flame. So it's important for me to mention that to you guys. My soulmate brought that out in me, not my twin. So there's something to be learned from every relationship. Now, if I had rejected Matthew when I met him in person 6 months ago, he wouldn't be in my life giving me such a struggle to make me even be sitting here talking to you guys right now about what happened to me, sharing that experience with you guys, if I had blocked him from my life. The divine, I could have made the choice to say, nope, I'm waiting on my twin. But I chose to be open to the divine and allow him in and see what the fuck happens. I wouldn't be here having this experience, sharing this with you guys and having this great conversation with you guys. He was the one that, he didn't do anything to me. It happened because it was a frequency within me that was coming up to be healed. So yes, we have to, these experiences, that's what we're trying to stress. And that's what I'm always stressing. Be open. Stop closing yourself off. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? You are divinity in an earth body. You are divinity. And divinity has I'm getting goose pimples all over me, spirit bumps. You are divinity. And you block yourself when you sit and say, nope, I'm not going to move forward. And many of the divine feminines are deliberately saying they're not going to move forward.
It's true.
They may not be saying those words, but their actions and everything they're doing is, I'm not going to move forward. I'm going to sit here in my pain. And it's real common for us too to say, I'm just going to work on me, which is wonderful. But we want to bring that love out to more than just ourselves. We want to, connect with all with everything. Talk, because this is what I'm doing with you guys. I could have sat in my pain yesterday by myself and went to the spa. Instead, I want to talk to you guys instead. That's much more healing for me than doing that. So we want to understand that we can touch others as well. Don't keep it to yourself, share. That's what we're here for. Yeah, stuck seems easier, but it's really not. And really, that may be their life journey. That may be their path to stay stuck. And that's what they're learning. But, this is all about expanding, and you learn just as much with anyone that comes into your experience. And the twin flame community has created a dogma. They've created the dogma of, it has to be this way, like a religion, and it's a consciousness. It's not a religion or a dogma.
And then another part of the consciousness that we're also shifting through what came from the patriarchal system, and it is to do with sacred sex. You know, this sacred sexual energy is the highest frequency that we're bringing on in terms of blissfulness and joy. And when you are experiencing this with your either your twin or your higher soulmate, there is so much magic that comes from it. A lot of magic. And so most of of those have been taught in the religious structure and all that stuff to stay away from it, cover yourself up, all these things. And what has happened is that what people have stayed stuck, and then the dying starts, you know, and things start to just wither away. And so this energy is what is to come up now and to come out and to be felt, to be understood. So that way we're not suffering, because we're not supposed to suffer. We are not supposed to suffer. We're not supposed to be stuck in suffering and not feeling. It's so important to start feeling now, and not just going into the mind and let the mind carry you away, and the worry and what this one says and that one says and what did my mother say and father say or brothers say or this other one say, really, or my pastor say, whatever the case may be. This is truly living in your truth and shifting with this, you know, because there's so much placed on these labels, you know. Really release the labels and letting go of attachments and what we expect for what this should be. Focus on the sexuality aspect also, because I notice not too much people do talk about the sacred sexuality and the importance of this sacred sexuality and what it does for you. It really does bring you into a different state, and it also brings things together for you. And what it does as well, it brings up more stuff that's deep within you to clear out as well. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I'm telling you, it's like you're getting two things at the same time. But you know, I look at it that if you really choosing to work through this, I'm not saying there's a time frame to it, but it's like if it's presented to you, then you know that your higher self is bringing you to that place for this to happen. So you're clearing out even more than just if you're talking to the person. You know what I mean? Because that's
Yes.
how it has happened for me. Every time I've had any sexual contact, something's clearing out and then wonderful things is coming in. You see what I'm saying? But if you're not taking action, you know, that's the masculine part of you. If you're not taking action along with what you're feeling and sensing, how can you move forward? It's like something, it has to come together synchronizing. You know what I mean? Not just the feeling aspect, which is your feminine, you know, and your intuition, but taking some action too. And, you know, even like if you're creating in your thought, okay, I'm ready to receive love, I deserve love, whether or not it is through my twin or divine complement, regardless of how it may look, but I'm just ready for it. So that we remove those blocks also. Remember, the
Yeah.
key thing is that you are setting yourself free, because when you set yourself free, then guess what? You're aligning for your divine counterparts to set themselves free, because it starts from the feminine first. We keep waiting for them to do something and to say something, but we got to understand that that frequency starts from within us first, and because of the connection that we have with one another. Okay. And it's so important for a lot of the divine feminines to remember that about themselves. Remember who you are. Remember the sensuous part of you. Give rise to yourself, and with divine love and sexual love also, and sensuality. All of this is important. It really is.
It
It
is. It's
really,
really,
really is.
and with the sexual aspect too, this is, we want to be careful too of, it is true that there's not much, like even for me, like the sexual connection with my twin is the most beautiful sexual experience I've ever had in my 43 years of living in this life. Like even my divine complement is good, but it's still, there's a difference. My twin, it's
Yes.
just different, and it's different, but be careful not to compare and expect others to be like that. And it's okay to have a partner, and maybe you're teaching them that sensuality, you're teaching them that tantric sexual experience. Like my twin and I have that, where we can just look at each other and be orgasmic, and you're not going to really, that's uniquely a twin flame thing. You can have a beautiful intense experience with your divine complement as well, and maybe you're going to teach him or her to have that experience. But be careful with don't compare and don't expect it to be the same. And
Mhm.
I kind of caught myself a little bit because I'm human, I'm going to be honest. One time I was like, oh, I'd rather be doing that with my, my twin was better at that than you are. But in my
I
mind, I'm like,
understand.
that's not fair. That's not
I
fair. We
understand.
can't compare anything to the twin flame. And it doesn't mean that the other experience can't be just as beautiful. And you're touching that man and bringing a sensuality and a magic to him that he's never experienced. Because even my divine compliment, he looks at me, he says, Candace, he said, you are unlike any woman. And he's known many, many women. I know that about him. He says,
Mm-hmm.
I've never known a woman. And to me, that's the hugest compliment I've ever gotten, because I know all the women. I know he's had many, many, many women. My twin, not so much. But my compliment, yes, he's had many, 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 many women. And for him to say that to me was huge, because he said, I've not known any woman like you. I touched him magically. So remember, you're going to
Yeah,
touch someone else. Maybe they're not there to heal you. You're to heal. Maybe you're going to
that's
heal
true.
them.
That's
Maybe you're
true.
going to heal them, and you block yourself from part of your mission to heal that person.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but the sex, okay, Pam, I want to address Pam. Pam said that maybe Sharon can have, because I know Pam's story about this. So my twin and I have had that, but the sex was horrible the last time. Not sure if it was because I was triggered. With twin
What?
has had sexual, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Pam, had some sexual dysfunction with her twin flame. Some things in her past.
I know
What was
with twins that in some cases with twins, when you're having sex with your twins, that sometimes it's more like some codes that you're unlocking within each other. Because I know that there's some twins who've never had sex with each other, but I know that there's a faster acceleration that takes place with your ascension to do with you and your twin. So to me, it makes me feel more like what was happening was more like what was being activated. Because remember, with your twin, you're activating each other. You're activating each other. So it may not necessarily mean that you're experiencing like just the sacred sexual intimacy aspect of it. You know what I mean? Because that happened to me too. So it was more like activating, and then it's just going to unlock and unlock and unlock more things, and that's why you were triggered. That's why you were triggered. So I really feel like as if you're at a point or a place where you're going to be working through the intimacy aspect of sacred sex, because it's two different categories here, where it's not just having sex and penetration, but it's more like you're working through the intimacy and letting go of fears that you may have when in regards to sex. Because even though I'm speaking about sacred sex in this way, there is still a lot of wound healing to happen with the divine feminine, to do with past lives and issues around the womb and the vagina, and even be able to talk about it, and all the taboos that have been placed on sacred sex, and the fact that we are a part of so many different dynamic aspects of sacred sex, because even sacred prostitution, most people don't even talk about it either, and what it means, and what it means for the planet. And it doesn't mean that we're going around having sex with everyone. It's an energy. It's an energy that we have within us as the goddesses. It's like the feminine principle, the goddess energy was missing. Now we're bringing it back, and it's becoming more powerful. And so that power, now some of you may even find yourself that more males are becoming more attracted to you, and they're just feeling it. They don't know what it means, they don't understand it, and it's an orgasmic feeling. So it's important for you to understand your body and how it relates to your twin and your divine counterparts. But especially before you could even, like I say, surpass to a certain point, there has to be some healing that comes for you first. Because if you start to feel like I can't touch them, or I don't want them to touch me, then there's some healing for you to do with that. So you may not be ready to be open to venture into the sacred sexuality aspect. You know what I mean? So it's not where I'm saying it to tell you that do this so that way you can get things going on for yourself. It's in stages, and it depends on each person and where
Mhm.
they are on their journey. Okay.
Uh-huh.
um and I say to start out is first, I would say one of the key things is, what is your relationship with you and your body? What is your relationship with you and your vagina? What's your relationship with you and your clitoris? What's your relationship with yourself and touching yourself and connecting to yourself and connecting to that which you don't see and who you're connected to? It's all these things that are so important towards your healing and what you're also creating magically with your partner, whether they're with you physically or not, you know, how adventurous you are in this, in the exploration and understanding what it means for you, what codes and messages that you receive from this frequency, because it's another frequency that comes with this sacred sexuality. It is.
And
It really is.
intimacy is a big thing, and that's a scary thing. Even for me, sometimes the intimacy and the vulnerability can be scary because it's not the actual, we get caught up in being in the masculine energy of the physical act itself. And really for the feminine, it's more the psychological intimacy. But it's hard when I myself and my soulmate has helped me. See, with my twin, it was different because it was so natural for him and I to just instantaneously connect like that. um, with the soulmate, I learned that I can go even deeper, and because he triggers my deeper pain, this is what I'm noticing. My soulmate triggers my deeper pain, so I go even deeper with intimate things that I don't share with people, I don't share with anyone, and I've shared with him because it's teaching me to be open, to speak my authentic truth, to speak about something that's bothering me. When he says things to me, because sometimes my first thought when he says things that I don't like is for me to be like, oh, well, I got to break up with him and leave him because he's telling me things I don't want to hear. But really, it's there to teach me a lesson, to be vulnerable and to share that
Yes.
intimate self, because the
Yes.
intimacy has to come outside of the bedroom before it's in the bedroom. So if there's a disconnect from the heart space in the relationship outside of the bedroom, then there's going to be that disconnect in the bedroom, if that makes
Yes.
sense. So you've got to get to the bottom of, I don't even think, Pam, it's the sex at all with you. I think it's what you and I have talked about this before. It's you, not you blocking your twin, you blocking your own heart from him, and him, you guys doing it to each other. So it's like you blocking and not allowing yourself to receive love and not allowing yourself to give love, and it's blocking that and causing that fear of the intimacy. And then it's going to manifest in, because you said at one point you guys had a great intimate connection, but when more purging and things started coming up in between the two of you, that kind of came up to be triggered, and you started to regress backwards and lose that intimacy. So there's something for you to look at in there. What caused what? Where were you at emotionally? What was going on in your life emotionally when the two of you would come together intimately and it was blocked and it was awkward? So look at what was happening in your world right in that time frame when that happened, and then that can help you get to the bottom of why you regressed intimately with your twin instead of progressed.
And there's a fear too that I feel around her as well. There's a fear of opening up because, you know, intimacy is also about being able
Yes.
to open up to someone. And as you go through it in a gradual way, like you keep opening up to speaking, opening up to expressing yourself, touching, hugging, all these things play such an important factor to you get to the point where you're able to open up your body to the person as well, and how you view yourself as well, and that you deserve love.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and being open. I myself have found um, that aspect of me. I sometimes get an imbalance, and I feel like I'm imbalanced because I'm very open in that regard. Um, Always, that's never been my issue, and I know with my soulmate, he is open, but it's different because he almost has this awkwardness like a child. Like he will, when he shows intimacy to me, he's teasing me and pins me down and tickles me like a big giant
Hmm.
kid. And he like, and at first he used to make me mad. Because he would pin me down and tickle me like nobody's business, and I would get pissed. And then later he'd be like, Candace, he's like, that's my way of showing affection. He's like, affection is awkward for me. He's like, if I ever stop trying to tickle you and wrestle with you, that means I don't have love and affection. And then when he opened up and told me that, then I chilled out. I'm like, okay, so that's his way of showing love and affection. And I had to open up to that. And that's what all relationships are about, being open and willing to be
Hmm.
vulnerable and share. We'd be able to color on each other. It was the sex and communication that I blocked. Yeah. But not allowing yourself to feel open and to be vulnerable. And that's a challenge for all of us. That's a challenge for me. That's a huge challenge for me, to be vulnerable. And it's almost like my soulmate is who's teaching me that the most. Um, Love language. So, yeah, the love language test. This explains what we want and need. That is the book. Yeah, the 5 love languages. But we all have we all have to understand that these fears, and even the fear, even vulnerability, is a false program if you think about it, because there's really nothing that we need to be vulnerable about, right? If we're open beings and we know who we are, and there's no fear of rejection and no fear of being abandoned, we don't need to be vulnerable, because we just are. We are just open and expansive. That was something one of my teachers even told me. She said, even being vulnerable is a programming, if you want to take it to that place, because we shouldn't have to be vulnerable. We should just be open to love, because knowing that we're safe. And that's really what we want to know. We are safe.
That's the key thing, is feeling safe. And a lot of of the feminine templates have felt not safe. That's how it was, because the huge issue has been the abandonment. If I give of myself to them, they're going to leave, or what if something happens, and creating those stories. And as I stated, everything is based on the connection and the feeling that's coming from within us. Because I remember when Colin had said to me, he said, I'm feeding off of your energy. It's like, what's going on? So it's like what's coming from within me. And that's why I said that each time you're able to heal with yourself, and as you said, Candace, identifying with where something starts from and within yourself, and how it relates to the person and what brings the trigger. And yes, someone did write on here that even our past lives do create an effect on our present relationship. Because Spirit was guiding me to also mention that I had a moment where I was having an intimate moment with my divine complement, and Rondi's his brother, his energetic body came into the bedroom, and I freaked out. I freaked out so badly. And it's because I didn't understand it. But it's like, we have all these, our bodies that's coming together with what we're healing. And one of the key things when it comes to the feminine aspect is the emotional body. And it's the emotions that we've carried based on how we're identifying what we're experiencing, you see. And these are the things that will come up for triggers, even if the person just start to touch, and or something they say that will trigger us, you know what I mean? And to identify with it. And even at the moment when I did, he was able to calm me down and said it's okay, you know what I mean? And I didn't understand what was happening. But I've had that moment so many times when his energetic body has come in the bed making love to me and everything like that, and I knew what it was. So, but this time is where I was with my divine complement, and his body came, into the room. But I knew that this was a part of the process, because we're connected. We are connected. And so this connection that we have is beyond the physical eye. Is beyond the physical eye. So that way, when you do have it yourself, that you don't have to be afraid, and you don't have to think it's weird or that you're crazy. Who will understand? I can't talk about it, because almost everyone is going to go through something similar or the same, or different. But just know that it's just for you, important for you to listen to that inner guidance and wisdom, because all of the experiences that you're going to continue to have, whether it's coming in from the past life and it's coming into your present, because it's all happening at the same time. It's all happening at the same time. It's not even becoming separated anymore. It's all integrating. And so all of the healing to everything is going to keep coming up. You know what I mean? And then the fear may come in, and the doubt and the worry, and letting go of any shame towards it as well. You know what I mean?
Letting
And
go. Because we have and what Pam, because I know Pam's story, she just shared, so I know I can talk about this. But what happened with him and her twin is, when she went to his house, she saw a feminine wrapper in his garbage can, and it triggered her. And she didn't say anything to him. She kind of let that go. But that kind of stuff, I mean, that's a big thing. So that was going on, that blocked the communication. I mean, it could have been a harmless thing. It may not have been a girlfriend. It could have been whatever, but she didn't ask him about it and didn't make a joke. Because I would have been like, what's with the tampon wrapper?
I would have asked. At that
So
moment, that's when you ask.
yeah. And so maybe, Pam, that's kind of where the blockage was. And it's not even, and you already know this, Pam, but it's not about the tampon wrapper that you saw in the garbage can. That showed up to teach you something. And that probably was a past life thing. I don't know what Sharon's feeling into that. Past a feeling of being rejected and being not good enough because he chose someone else and didn't choose
And there's
you.
also a cheating template also, because I went through that also, is that this concept of cheating and how we view cheating and someone else sleeping with someone else. So that wrapper was there to trigger you into what you're healing to do with the concept of cheating and all that. Because that's a very huge theme with quite a few twins, is jealousy and cheating and how we view it and all of that. So it's no coincidence with any of that at all. No.
Yeah,
And
it's never.
I really, I really truly recommend, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to speak up or say something, because the more authentic that you are with yourself, instead of carrying it around within yourself and wondering and wondering and wondering, all it does, it builds up more pain and more issues within you. But one of the things that I know for me is that I am completely so upfront with my divine God, and he is with me too. We just, the truth. So there's nothing accumulating in our energy fields holding onto anything. Those are the things we're changing on the planet, where, there's no more mask, there's no more covering up. It's like, you know what, I'll face it like I call it like the bullhorn. I'll just face it head on to whatever it is, that if it's something bothering me. And you know what, 9 times out of 10, you probably was building a story. Right, Candace? We build so much stories, more than we realized, you see. So, and even if something was left in place, it's something that's going to trigger you to heal from it, or something they say.
Yes. And the cheating thing, and I have a little offshoot off of the cheating template. I've never had in this lifetime the fear of cheating. It's always been the fear of just going away. But it did come up with my divine complement in the cheating, but it was on his end, not mine, really. What happened was, when he met me, he was talking to another woman as well. And when he met me, he didn't expect to feel the way he did for me. And he was like, oh shit, I've got 2 women that I have. And he tried to lie to me about it, okay, about this other woman. But I, as an intuitive being and as a medium, I knew who she was instantaneously from his Facebook page. The woman didn't do anything out of the blue. She wasn't mushy gushy. There was none of that. There was just this woman, and she looked very similar to me, very pretty. And she just said something on his Facebook page. And I instantly, in my gut, spirit said, remember that name, remember that face. And I'm like, okay. Well, when we were laying in bed, and he was texting her, and he didn't know. See, men think they're so smart, and they're not really sometimes. So I felt like pushing his shoulder. Do you really think I can't see? So she was very angry at him, saying, I know there's another woman, meaning me. And he's saying, no, there isn't, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, huh. And I swear, Sharon, if I had not been on this path and been where I am, I would have went fucking ballistic on him. I would have tore him up. But in spirit said, be quiet, Candace. Be quiet. I was guided to zip my lip. And I read part of the text, and I was kind of irritated, but I'm like, whatever. Well, because of my powerful spiritual, who I am and my intentions, and sometimes we can, as powerful goddess women, we can influence the energies. So I did set an intention. He's going to confess.
And it's okay to feel.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, and
he did. It's okay to feel anyway, and to cuss if you have to. And you know what I'm saying? It's like you go both ways with it. You go high with it. What is being shown to me, and still cuss if you have to cuss.
And I did, and he told me about it. We were staying up till 2 a.m. Neither one of us could sleep, so we went out to where the air conditioning is, and we laid down. And he started telling me,
it's gonna end.
He started telling me, he's like, well, there's this. Oh, it's gonna end. Damn it! I think we can
rebroadcast. Hour already.
When are we?
We're back again, I believe, to see It's a continuation. It has been such a while for Candace and I to talk about all of this, you know, and I know that this is spirit on purpose because we're shifting a huge template when it comes to divine love, a huge template. And it's like things had to come into balance between what I'm experiencing, what Candace is experiencing, and it's just that we're just ahead of it in a way, and we're talking about this and bringing out not only what we've experienced separately, but bringing it together because a lot of us are on that path of ascending, and we're ascending and really bringing in our true template to who we are and where it's taking us. So I'm gonna find. Oh, you're here, Candace. Okay, so I'm looking for. Okay, there you go. Okay, here we ask. I said we're just continuing what we're just about because I just feel it, the nudge coming from spirit. That,
I want to.
you know.
I gotta finish that. So you know what I noticed when you're by yourself, it's perfectly clear. As soon as I show up in both of our energy, your screen kind of goes a little grainy.
Oh, really? Well, I was trying to get in, do the invites again, and then to bring you in again.
Yeah.
So, but at least
Very
the second one there was no disruption. So that's
Yeah,
interesting. So I think we're
good.
bringing
So
things into balance.
I've got to finish what happened. So I'm sharing the cheating template because we brought that up. And you
Yes.
know, when he met me, he didn't expect to have these feelings, and then he had this other girl. And so anywho, I knew about her. I just knew I saw when as soon as I saw her face on his Facebook page, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of person I am. I'm very intuitive. I just know. And I knew, I'm
Yeah.
like, huh, okay. And it was her. And so one night I just set the intention. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go off on him. He's going to tell me the truth. And he did. He couldn't help himself. He had to tell me. He's like, well, and he told me about her. And I said, he's like, do you want me to end? He's like, he asked me, he says, do you want me to end it with her? He says, and I said, because this is truthful. And I said, well, I said, I am not going to tell you how to be. I'm not going to tell you to get rid of her or do any of this stuff. I said, the only thing I don't like is that you're lying to her. Even though I don't know her, she's obviously a fellow sister of some sort. She's in this whatever I'm in. And
Mm-hmm.
he's lying to her. And I told him, I said, I don't like that you're lying to this woman, but she doesn't know about me. I said, I would much rather she knew about me, and then I could be, yeah, go ahead, because I'm polyamorous. And so, I'm not going to be, it's not like I'm going to be, I can go be with my twin and you can't go be with her. Like that would be hypocritical. And that's not who I am. But he was basically in the cheating frequency, in the cheating energy. But I just told him the truth. I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do because it's not how I work. I said, you have to do what's right for you. He wanted me to give him an out. He wanted me, I could tell he wanted me to say, get rid of her so he'd have an excuse. And I wasn't going to do that for him. I wasn't going to give him that excuse. So he had to do that experience. But it was the cheating template, and it did bother me. I mean, it did bother me. It did make me mad. But what made me mad
Yeah.
was he's lying to this woman. That pisses me off, really, honestly. That ticks me off. And he still every now and then tries to, not bring that up. But yes, someone looking in on the
Mm-hmm.
outside would tell me, girl, you need to get rid of him. And no, that's not we're learning experiences from each other. There is something divine that I'm supposed to be learning from this experience, whether it's the cheating template or not, whether it's, on my part, there's no cheating. And I've told him about my twin, and he's like, well, does Jacob know about me? And I said, of course he knows about you. I said, him and I don't have that. We're always incredibly honest with each other. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something that he has to work out. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning to be non-jealous because
Me
personally,
too.
personally, I know that my soulmate is not going anywhere, just like I know my twin is not going anywhere. Really, I know that. And if he is, then he is. And I'm going to be okay with that, because I
Mm-hmm.
have to be okay with that. But I'm learning this experience that, the jealousy and the fear and the cheating. And the more I think about, oh, someone's going to cheat on me, someone's going to do this to me, someone's going to do that to me, then it's going to keep manifesting itself. And that was something for me to work out in my own too. I mean, I could make the choice to be like, okay, well, you need to go, you need to leave. Um, but spirit guided me not to do that. And it doesn't mean I'm going to put up with anything. It almost gives me a level up because I know what's
It
going
does.
on.
It does
Nothing
give you a
is
level up.
hidden from me at all.
Nothing is to be hidden, period, and it all comes out anyway, even if you try. So I wanted to ask, to answer Meg's question when she asked if twin flames have cheating in their background. Well, see, the thing about it is that when things started to go, I say haywire in the beginning of time, remember that all those divine unions and templates were broken down and everything, because that's when the control mechanism came into existence, and for us not to be on, on the same connection with our divine counterparts, you see. And the things to understand is that the magic and the things that we have within us that's connected to our divine counterparts is what makes things happen, okay, in a greater way. And so when things started to fall off, where people were getting married to others just for money, or arranged marriage and all that stuff, then that's how things started to descend, for each and every one of us. Now, I went through a huge, Candace is aware of it. It's a template that I have because of who I am from the beginning of time, to do with the two brothers. And I had to go through a lot of intense feeling of the jealousy that was coming from my twin. Now, his brother had said to me, when I told him that his brother was my twin, he said to me, "I'm jealous." And I'm like, "Why are you jealous?" He said, "Because he wished he was my twin." I said, "Well, you wouldn't want to be, because it's more intense, and you probably wouldn't be able to sit right next to me on the table, by the table." So in either case, it was there. I had so much memories that came through from one brother killing the other, and all these things is what I experienced. But I know that that cheating template, is what we call it. It comes back to, even based on what Candace said, to being honest, and still, if they choose to be with someone else, that it's okay, we let them go and allow them to go through whatever they have to go through without feeling jealous, without feeling as if we are holding on to them and telling them what to do and how to feel. Do you see what I'm saying? That's a part of the unconditional love that we're showing. But at the same time, we're still honoring ourselves. It's like, hey, if you feel that you want to do so and so, then you go ahead, but I don't choose to be a part of it. Because when we have the polyamory, this is where we're in consent with one another, with having and expressing this love, and there's nothing hidden or nothing that is not disclosed, I would say, okay, and really truly living authentically about this. So now, with my twin, now, when he found me, the impression I had was that he wasn't with anyone, but he told me I'm the only female he had a connection with. And then he told me that he had a girlfriend, and I didn't believe him because it didn't feel like it to me. I mean, I just never felt it. But then the truth came out, because Spirit guided me to go to his place, and then I met her, and she's just like me. I mean, she looks like me. She acts like me. I was like, wow, I'm looking at me. So even these things happen too with the twin flame template, to understand that even your twin's partner, there is an aspect of you that shows up through them, and they're being prepared for that ultimate relationship to do with you. Okay. And that's how it is. And she asked me point blank, she says, "What is this?" And I said, "Well, it's a spiritual thing." And she says, "I'm religious and spiritual at the same time." It turns out that she was someone famous from a past life, and she looked exactly like how she looked then. But I felt at peace, and it didn't bother me or anything like that. I just knew that there was something. And when I came home, I cried, but I didn't cry because I was jealous, or I cried because I felt joy in my heart, because she was helping me to who I'm becoming through me and Ronnie at the same time, you see? And so it was the most beautiful experience I ever had. And when I left from there, would you believe, within 5 minutes, I saw a sign on a street that said Union. It said Union Avenue, okay? So there's so much even more with this, because now, as far as my divine complement, who he lives with, who he's with, total opposite. Total opposite chaos, you call it breakdown. You see, it's a total opposite, and it's so much pain that comes from that. You see what I'm saying? But it still has to happen, because remember, we're looking at our who we are in the light and the contrast. See, we're looking at the light and the contrast. The part of the eclipses, we're looking at the subconscious and all these things that lies within our subconscious mind from all these relationships we've had in the past. Now, My ex-husband, when I was married to him, oh my God, he was the number one cheater. I mean, from the very get-go. And I felt it and I experienced it, but it had to happen. It had to take its course and its place to who I was becoming, and, you know, releasing with any forgiveness, learning to follow my guidance and my own intuition. And also, what do I deserve? Do I deserve more than this, better than this? You know, how much more? So all of that is what I learned from this experience. You see what I'm saying? And then I
Yeah.
realized, oh, the cheating is a concept, but at the same time, I'm honoring myself for who I am and what I deserve to have, and loving whoever or whatever enough to let them go and it go, because that's something else that frees you. It frees you up, because then if you're going to be concerned all the time what they're doing, who they're with, if they're, you know, screwing with somebody, da 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 da, then there's something that's not in its honesty and its integrity, because these divine sacred, it is truly sacred. It is so sacred, and that means that we're going to be living in integrity and not concerned about whether or not somebody is with someone else, you know, and understanding that when we're feeling these in love feelings, it doesn't mean that we're going to act upon it. Okay, we're not going to act upon it, but we understand where it comes from. So you might feel triggered with feeling in love with someone else and feel like I want to go merge with them, but to understand that that frequency is what is keeping us all together in love and everything that's coming to its fruition. Okay, so
It is.
yeah, and it's very powerful, and it's to really understand the power that comes with it. It
Mhm.
is powerful. Yes.
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 I want to answer. Pam asked me a question when I was
Hmm.
talking. She wanted to know how I explained to my soulmate about my twin flame. And how that came up really was my soulmate opened the door when he confessed to me about this other woman he had been already seeing when he met me. So in fact, he was basically cheating on her. Um, but I don't look at it as cheating. I don't cheat because I tell the truth, but he opened the doorway because I had set the intention. And I'm like, okay. And it all worked out really harmoniously. How he told me about this woman. He's like, do you want me to end this? And I'm like, what I want, I said, I don't like it. I said, I don't like it because you're lying to her. I go, that's why I really don't like it. But he opened the doorway and he's like, but you know, I'm not monogamous. And I said, I know. And I said, neither am I. And he looked at me and he started laughing and he's like, I knew you had another boyfriend. And I'm like, no, it's not about that. And I told him, but he felt funny because I said, Jacob and I don't lie to each other. I go, and because he goes, does he know about me? And I said, of course. So that, Pam, if that answers your question, that's how it opened the door for me to talk to him about my twin. He kind of opened it all happened. It sounds, I know it probably sounds like how could him having this other woman that he didn't tell about me, tell her she knows not about me. How is that sacred? Well, it's all sacred because everything opened doorways for me to be authentic. It opened doorways for him to be authentic. He was able to take a weight off of his shoulders about lying to me because those of us in this that live in this twin flame energy, in this energy, people really can't. How do I even explain this without sounding like this big egomaniac? But
Just say it.
people people can't lie to me. They're in my frequency. They
True.
cannot help
Me
themselves
too.
but spill their guts.
That's right. Me too.
When people are in my experience, they will just spill their guts about everything. And he could not be in my frequency and be dishonest. And that's really what it
Mhm.
was. It was impossible for him to be in my frequency and be dishonest to me. If you're honest to me, I can handle almost anything if you're honest. And the reason I'm not jealous about this woman, she did looks almost exactly like me, built exactly like me. I'm not jealous of this woman. Now I'm irritated. I don't like that he's lying to her, and I do know his karma is going to come to him, and she's going to find out about me. And I don't think nobody's going to have to do anything because that's how the divine works. You can't lie forever to somebody. It will be exposed, and he will have to deal with that. That's his karma. And I told him, I said, that's your karma, but it doesn't make me love him. And this is where my spiritual evolution has taken me. It does not upset me. It does not make me love him any less. It's just something that is here for me to work out and to let go of. Um, and to be honest about. Now, is it going to end with this woman? Of course, I know it's not going to last, because you can't live a lie. He's
Can't
not
live a
going to be able
lie. That's right.
to, it's just
Yes.
not going to happen. Plus,
Can't hold up anymore. No.
she lives 2 hours away from us, so he doesn't see her. Um, the lie is going to be exposed. And I know I'm not going to be hurt because, like I said earlier, I think it's powerful for me to have all the information and to know everything, to know every detail of everything. And then I can make the choice, look, okay, you got to go. I'm done. Or you got to go do this. You can accept the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I know that there's still a lot for me to learn with this soulmate connection. And that's, I'm just allowing it to happen and allowing it to flow. But, it's only cheating when you're lying.
Yes.
It's only
Yes.
cheating when you're lying and breaking an agreement. I'm not doing that with either one of my men. Now, I can't control if they're doing it with somebody, but my twin and I, we don't do that. Now, my twin has in the past told women about me, um, and they usually will end the relationship because they can't handle like this. He'll say, well, I have my counterpart, my best friend, and she's not going anywhere. And that doesn't work well for him if he tries to be with other women, but it's at least being honest, the pure honesty. And I know that it's going to benefit me, and that's the only way to be.
Well, I'm going to answer a question that I feel, sure, Candace is coming up in the future, because I could hear conversations in the future too, is that, well, you have your twin, you have your divine complement, and you're in this polyamory. What if they say they want to be with someone else?
As well.
How does it make you feel? Right. How does it make you feel? And I say, no, still we're holding that space of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know that the divine has shown to me that as we continue to ascend and increase into our heart consciousness, we're not going to just be being with just anybody just like that. It's about being with who we're connected to and feeling that connection, because I know there are quite a few that said that I don't feel the same about just going and being with someone else. It's not the same frequency. It's not the same frequency. It's like it's not in alignment with who you are. And there's that part of the integrity. And so we have to understand that as we continue to shift and shift and shift, and as more shifting take place, then it's just going to be where that template that you hold with your twin, or if it's with another higher soulmate, that's what remains. Do you see? That's what remains. And so the love that we're sharing with one another is a higher love, yes. And it is also being felt through others, because as we are holding the space of these divine templates, then other people are going to start to do the same, and they're staying within integrity. So we'll be free to dress how we feel and not feel violated. We don't have to start thinking about, like people feel that you can't be friends with a male because that means something must be going on. It's all these different templates of stuff and views that we've had when it comes to relationships and how we have it. Okay. And I know that, there's even times and moments where some people say they haven't been able to be turned on by someone else that's not their twin. And I understand. Right. I thought the same way too, until my divine complement came into the picture. And I was like, what the fuck is it? Just like what Candace said. And then I realized and I understood what it meant. And even now I say, I don't feel like as if I could feel that same type of frequency and attraction with someone else, but who knows what can happen. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's allowing yourself to not hold on to say, well, it's only going to be with this one and only this way. It is always ever expanding. But I do know, key thing is, it's not where you're just having this with just anyone. This is who we are connected to and aligned with. Keywords.
Right. And if so, if they, and I have to say to you, if either one, because I've done this with my twin, but we've never been able to find another female that is willing to be polyamorous. He's never been able to find another female that he wants to be with. It's like I trump all of them, and I am his twin. But if there was a female, and I tell him this all the time, I said, you need to just let me pick her out. If there was, but she'd have to match to us. I would not be jealous.
That's the match. Exactly.
My only issue is if you have to lie to a woman, that just create, because for me, it's all about energy. And if
Yes.
it's truthful and honest, if she knows about me and I know about her and we like each other and we can have an agreement with the four of us or five of us or what have you, then I'm cool with it as long as no one's lying. That's the part that pisses me off, when someone is lying. And when they're
Mhm.
lying, that means they're not trusting me and they're taking something from me. That's when the lying will trigger me, the dishonesty, because it makes me think you don't value me enough. You have to lie to me. It's always honesty. So yes, in the future, if that came up, it would have to be another woman that's just like me, that's a match,
That's
that's a
vibrating.
regular man
Exactly.
and is
Hmm.
polyamorous as well, and is not trying to come sabotage me and take something from me. Because in a harmonious, loving, polyamorous connection, we're all giving of each other. We're not
Hmm.
taking from the other
Yeah.
person, because that's the energy of the cheating and the dishonesty and the lying, is they're taking something from you. They're stealing your man from you. And in a polyamorous
Hmm.
connection, no one can steal my man from me. I can share him, but you can't
Hmm.
steal him.
There's
And
no
if it's a woman
stealing
that,
because they're always connected from the heart with you.
right, and
They're
there's
always
another,
going to be connected from the heart.
and if there is another person that comes in, they have to have that same energy frequency. But I think it's easier for women to be with multiple polyamorous men than for men, because
Yes,
men don't
because
share.
because that structure that has been held by the masculine has been for such a long, long time, and they may not necessarily be used to saying that they want to share their feminine counterparts, with someone else. And that's why it can be quite more difficult for them. And it's a gradual process. It has to be a gradual process. As I said, the key thing is how much of an ascension is taking place within them, in remembering that and remembering the concept. Because you see, this is the part where we are alchemizing and coming back to that place of pure love, where it's not tainted and it's not judged and it's not twisted and
Mhm.
used for manipulative purposes. Because what I was experiencing with my divine counter soulmate is the type of females that would use their bodies to lure men so that they pay their bills for them, or that they take care of them. You know what I mean? Because that exists. That exists,
Mhm.
and that template is also breaking down. And so I had to move through that with some type of jealousy from on my end too, and then a little bit of, well, what is this showing, as far as the integrity? Because I have to talk about it. I have to talk about it. And it's like I say, I don't judge anyone with who they decide to be with or stay with, but the question I ask is, how does it make you feel? If you feel that you're going to engage in someone that you're not connected to, and you go sleep with them, whatever, how do you feel afterwards? What does it do for you? Why do it? You know what I mean? And so our bodies and everything is shifting also from that frequency, those templates, because it does exist. And that is what we're shifting also as well, on coming back to the purity of the connection we have, the purity of the sacred sex, the purity of who we are connected to. Do you see what I'm saying? And there's no room left for the jealousy, the envy, the competition. I'm gonna steal your man, you're gonna steal my, no, and that's my
Right.
man, and
Get rid of
claiming that,
that.
oh, that's my man and that's my twin. Stay away from her and stay away from it. It's all that stuff that is clearing. So
Yeah.
important.
And
Mm-hmm.
Meg was saying something similar to what I was saying, how her twin lies to his wife about his, and Meg, and I know Meg, you have a friendship with your twin. You guys work together, I think, but that is
Oh,
bothering her too, that her twin
yes.
is lying to his wife about his connection, and that's going to catch up with him too, because
It's about to break anyway, Meg. I'm feeling it. I was just about to say,
little
I feel
lie.
it breaking. It's breaking, and I feel like, yeah, I feel it breaking. I really feel him. When I say breaking, like bawling, break. That's what I feel. Like he can't hold it anymore, because the feelings are getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. That's what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. Because we just can't live. We can't live these lies anymore with our feelings, and being
I
with someone that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think too, and I think this is part of when I was saying we meet these soulmates and maybe they're going to heal us or we're to heal them. And I think
Both.
with my counterpart, he's never been with a woman like me that he can be honest about this with and
Yes.
confess this with without
Yes.
her going insane and
When
like
saying yes.
and for
Yes.
me to be understanding and say, well, I'm glad you told me this because I have something to share with you too, that I have a twin flame and I have a soulmate and yada, yada, yada. And I was able to tell him that. And neither one of us freaked out and left each other. So that opened the doorway for that. But at the same time, I'm teaching him unconditional love, like true, true
Yes.
unconditional love. Because he always looks at me and he always says, "You're so good to me." I'll make him a sandwich and bring him his Mountain Dew. And he's like, "Oh my God," he'll be in the other room. He's like, "God, you're so good to me." And I'm thinking, I'm making you a sandwich because I love you. And that's how I care for people. Like for him, that is humongous. And this is all
Because
even
some
after the
people live
fact.
conditioned love. That's why. And
Yeah.
that's why for him it's new with you. See?
Yeah. So even though there's this other girl and I feel bad, but I can't feel bad for her because this is her experience and he's got to figure that out. And for once in my life, like I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it doesn't bother me, but like I said, the only thing that bothers me is the lying aspect that he does,
Yes.
that
Yes.
he goes through the motions of lying to this poor woman. And I'm like, ooh, it's going to be ugly when she finds out. And I know spirit is going to make it come out, just like for Meg. Spirit is going to make it come out to your twin's wife
No,
that
I mean, I really feel him having a breakdown.
that
Like I
he
see
has an
him
emotional
falling
connection
down.
to another woman, and
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna because you can't live in that heavy, gross energy of lies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Hmm.
because that veil is so much thinner now, it's like anything that is hidden is just coming out to the surface. It's coming out in the open. It's just like if anything that's poison in your system, you're gonna vomit it out. You're gonna spew it out. And so whatever is within us that are lies, deception, doesn't feel right, it's just coming out up into the surface. The more resistant we are to it, is the harder it's gonna feel.
Hmm.
Hmm. It's the harder it's going to feel. And the masculine energy can be quite strong with their feelings and what they're used to holding on to, and that
And
includes
they're
concepts. Hmm.
yes, and they are the masculine are. I noticed this more with my soulmate than my twin because my twin is very highly evolved for a male. He is very much in touch with his feminine spiritual aspect, but my soulmate, he is not. He's acting out the patriarchy. He
Your
is,
and mine is the opposite, Candace.
isn't that funny?
That's so funny. My
Acting
divine
out,
compliment is like your twin, and then my
yeah,
twin is like your divine.
he's acting out the patriarchy. He's acting out that
Yes,
old template of,
yes,
you know,
yes.
women are inferior. Not that they're inferior, but he has certain because he's a military
Like
man.
he is in charge of you, like
Yes. And that the
you're
women
his
are,
woman. Hmm.
yes, I'm his princess and I'm his woman and I should stay. And I can feel it within him. He loves the fact that I work at home and that I'm at home. And if I go in I can hear him like asking the kids, where's Candace? Where'd she go? What's she doing? Like I can hear him ask.
You're freezing. You can hear him asking what? I didn't lose you.
Did you? Oh, I'm back.
Okay, you're
But
back. Okay.
I can feel the he's acting out that masculine
The
because
alpha male. Hmm.
yes, because he is a military man. He was in the special forces. He was the drill sergeant. He was the one that screamed in your face as the drill sergeant and like broke you broke you down to nothing. And with the kids, with the boys, it's really, really good because he's strict with the boys, that military mind. But in his mind, it's like I'm the fragile woman and
Hmm.
he's the man that must take care of me. And I always look at him, I'm like, you underestimate how smart I am. Like he doesn't understand.
Hmm.
Like, and that's okay.
Hmm.
And that's because I understand his perspective. And if this
Yes.
had 10 years ago, I would have not liked him at all. I would have been like, oh, you need to get to stepping. But
Hmm.
I know he's acting out that.
And he's your protector too, because remember some of our masculine they're our protectors, so that way we can feel safe again,
He was my
to be with them.
protector.
So
He
it's
was, yeah.
important. That's why he is the way he is, and it's to be that
And
way in
when
its own
God
way.
has, yes, when the goddess has her
The
warrior
warrior. Yes.
physicality to protect her from harm, like her bodyguard or her warrior. That's what he was for me. And in fact, I did share this with you, but I don't think I told everyone else. My past life before this life, my husband was a military man in the Civil War. He was a famous general, a famous cavalry general. And I'm not going to say it on here, it doesn't matter, but he was him and I were famous, well-known historical figures of the time, and he was killed in a battle, and I remained for the rest of my life a widow, and refused to be with another. And in that day, back then, that was unusual. The woman always found another husband to take care of her, but I refused. I wore black the rest of my existence. He was my husband, and I've been waiting 123 years for him to come back. And I knew it was not my twin flame. It was my soulmate. And he finally came back in this lifetime as my warrior again, this time coming back. So yes, there's divine sacredness to these relationships, even if they're not your twin flame.
Yes, yes, it is. And it is truly divine. And, you know, it's like even still, it just shows the balance that comes between having the both of them, you see? And it's not, like I said, like everyone is necessarily on that same path, but it also represents to who you were in a past life and what we're here to, not only to who we are, but that we don't have to feel like as if it's going to fail, you know, or that something is going to stop it. This time we're really going to be showing up the glory and the light through all of this. And we're doing it in the physical, you know, because it doesn't have to be a concept anymore, or a thought, or a fantasy. No, this is what the true reality is that we're bringing on what is within the subconscious mind from the soul perspective, because it is about the soul and the soul connections that we have, the true soul connections. I'm not saying that you have the false one, because I don't go into no falsity of things. This is about integrating all of who we are and really ascending above what we've experienced before, and then we're just bringing it together in a new way, you know what I mean? That's what it truly is. And then this is bringing us into a higher state, a much higher state, a much higher state. It really is. And I just think it's the most awesome, off the chain, most incredible experience to have this. And it is painful too. Yes, it is. It is painful, and it can be challenging at times, but this is how we're, you know, just balancing it out. Because at some point, I do feel at some point it won't be as painful, you know, as it was. I really feel so. And I think it depends on the spiritual maturity, you know, of each person. But it's so interesting how you have the opposite with your twin and my twin. And like my twin holds a lot of king energy because he's a king, you know, and rule kingdom. So sometimes within them they have that kingdom energy, like I am, you know, I'm the one that makes the decisions here, and
Yes,
and
I'm the boss.
he's tall, yeah, and he's tall and big, so you know that like her, you know, and I'm protective, and yeah.
That
So
intense, yeah,
it is
and
intense.
what's so interesting, and I think Rosa might have said something similar, that if she with her husband, she could only be with an awakened masculine, and that is true because I have that with my twin. But even I knew, and this is so funny because it's coming to me right now, like from this past life was so intense, and I so vividly, I used to write stories all the time. This is how I figured out who I was in this past life and who my husband was and my soulmate was. I would write these stories as a young girl, and they all had the same exact theme, the same story. And then when I was spiritually guided to research this famous general, in this famous Confederate general in the Civil War, and I researched him, I was very drawn to him. And then as soon as I started reading about his wife, I thought, oh, that's me. And I got chills, and I just knew it because her life, I was writing these stories when I was a little girl. And that was, I was remembering my life, and you can't make that stuff up. I don't speak about it publicly because I want to keep the authenticity of the confirmations coming to me on their own. I don't like to just tell, you know what I'm saying, because it was two famous people that people would be like, oh no, you weren't. So I keep that to myself. But
I don't even worry about that. I said, I don't even worry about it anymore. I mean, I say one because you're becoming who you are then and now. And You don't even
And that
have to
was just
validate it.
past thing, but it's so interesting that how he came back, and I've been waiting for him to come back, and he came back as my in that warrior male energy. And I always knew what I was actually trying to say is with my twin, I knew that there was a masculine aspect I was missing, that 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 more intensive male energy that I was missing,
Yes.
that was supposed to show up, and it's with my soulmate, because that's that him and I had unfinished business in that past life. Like, we're not karmic
Mhm.
partners. He's a soulmate that
Right.
has shared things with me in many other lives, but his life was cut short unexpectedly back then. He did not expect, he was not
Mhm.
intending to die. He was not expecting to die, and it just happened. And um, we've actually done healing. I've done healing for those pieces of myself, but
Mhm.
it's when we, and this goes back to when we close the doors on other soulmates because we only want to be with our twin. If I had closed the door on him, I would not get to have this closure with that past life. I would
That's
not get to
right.
have all this stuff that I'm learning right now. So don't close doors on other people that are
Mhm.
showing up in your life because you have it in your head. It has to only be your twin flame.
That's right. That's right. And when it does occur, just don't go into the stories, because a lot of time people go into the stories so much and start creating all these stories, and you end up missing. That's the missing part, the Aramic, missing the mark, missing the signs, the syncs, and allowing. Pay attention to your dreams. Your dreams are definitely going to give you signs and messages to your journey, and knowing where your path is leading you, and not be concerned about it being judged or creating any controversies or any of that sort. Because you see, if we allow all of that stuff to come into our space, then that's when we
Mm-hmm.
start getting confused, and then the confusion leads to doubt, and then it's just sitting there again, and then you feel bad or sad or depressed and all these things. So it's so important to pay attention to the signs and trusting your inner feeling and not judging what you are
Mm-hmm.
hearing them say. Because sometimes I remember even there was a time when I blurted out something to my divine compliment, and I was like, how did that happen? I didn't, and it just happened. There was a time when my twin did the same thing to me too. He was shouting at me like, you don't know how to keep a man. And I was like, what? And I didn't have a relationship with him. So it's stuff like that that you pay attention to, and don't take it so personal, and know that those are your clues. And you're like, it's like, look at it like aha, I know where that's coming from. I know what I'm working to heal within myself, or what's coming from my divine counterpart that's showing up through him to me, for me to see, and to pay attention to it. And yes, in some cases it might hurt like a bitch, but you
Yes.
will make through it. You will get through it. I usually say these energies and what we go through lasts between 24 to 48 hours. And sometimes for me, like when the moon comes in, I start experiencing it before the date. It doesn't matter, to do with the date
Just
in and
keep
of
swimming.
itself.
Just like Dory on
Same thing with
Finding
you too.
Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Exactly. And I even have a lot of languages that flow through me with all of this. And it is fascinating because as each time it comes through, there's something clearing, something coming in, something clearing, something coming. It's like being in a washing machine. And the more you allow yourself to just flow through it, the lighter you feel. Because you see, that's the part. What we're doing is we're letting go of the density of our bodies and our minds and our souls, because that's why we're in these dense bodies, because of everything that has descended. And now we're kind of shifting things where we're ascending. We're not necessarily leaving the entire body, but the body is shifting with a lot of codes and frequencies. There's a lot that's going on, and we can only take it in, dosages. But I just truly recommend to follow your yellow brick road. I refer to it as staying in your lane. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. Allow yourself to be free. Allow yourself to be in joy, regardless of what, or whether it's in joy and sadness and crying and laughing at the same time. It's all a part of the process. It really is. And there's times when I know some people say, well, what I'm feeling, am I feeling it for myself, or am I feeling it for you're feeling it together? It's a shared journey. It really is. And what I also found out that's happened to me is that there is someone who's like a twin ray that talks like me, doesn't look like me, but they talk just like me. They say things like me. So it's all these different dynamic of templating that is happening on the earth that you will soon discover. And you're not crazy. And you will recognize it and say, wait a minute now, you know, and it's not so subjective as you may think, you
Mhm.
see. And really letting go of what we've been taught in religious structures,
Oh,
school,
absolutely.
government, all of that, because all
You,
that stuff is collapsing.
it is. People are getting tired of religion. They're leaving religion. And what came to me also this morning was I just had this like aha moment. Like we are all, we all understand we're sparks of the divine, right? We're all
Yeah.
pieces of the divine, pieces of God. And right now in this experience, we are the divine having an earth experience. The divine is
Right.
having there's only time is only linear in this dimension.
Yes,
In all
that's
other
right.
dimensions, we are at one time our past, present, and future self and the divine. And we are the divine. The divine is experiencing everything, especially this physicality. So when you know who you
Yes.
are, that's why I said, do you
Yes.
know who you are?
Who you are. Yes.
Divinity. And I get goose pimples all over myself every time. And I remember when I first revealed my angelic name as Shekinah, as the essence of God, the feminine essence. You can only find it in the Jewish Kabbalah, Shekinah, the twin flame, and the aspect of Metatron. And when I
Mhm.
kept hearing that name over and over again, and when I finally came out and said that that's my divinity, that's who I am, that's my divine, I'm not just her name, I am that aspect, that piece incarnated in this physical body, I was afraid that people were going to be like, oh, you're just crazy. And I'm just like, no, because I know who I am. I know my divinity, and I don't need to be afraid of what people are going to say and what they're going to think. And then when I came out as that, and it's like Shekinah is the feminine essence of God. I'm the essence of God. And I did come here to, to do these things. And my twin is an essence of Metatron. And Enoch, actually, really, who was a scribe, my twin went to seminary school. He knows the Bible like nobody. My twin has this magical ability to decode the Bible. And that is only because of who he was as Enoch, as the scribe. He can decode it. Like, I'm getting chills even thinking about it. That man is just amazingly brilliant. And he thought he was insane for many, many years. He would lock himself in a closet because his Enoch self would come to him and talk to him, and he could see him vividly. And he locked himself in a closet and thought he was insane and thought he was crazy. And I'm like, no, because you are Enoch. You are him. That was you. That's who you are. But even him now, it's hard for him to grasp that and come to that conclusion that that's who he is.
It's so
Incarnate.
funny. When did you tell him that? Because that's like how I told my twin that he's Moses, and he was starting to become like her, like this.
I
It's
this was like maybe a year ago, because he was telling me, because I knew all this stuff, and I knew it after the fact. He told me he was confused thinking that it was Jesus coming, because he's like, he told me, he says, I went through this insane period where I checked myself into the hospital because I was thinking I was Jesus. And that's not
wow.
what it was Enoch, but he was seeing it as
Yes.
Jesus. He was interpreting it as that. And I'm like, oh my God, no,
Yes.
that's not what was happening. That was your higher self, who you are, coming to you, trying to
Hmm.
reveal to you. And he still has ego issues where he's afraid of, who am I to be that? Who am I to do that?
Yes.
He would go
Yes. It's
to
true.
churches. He would go into church. He was raised very religious, and he would be a healer. He put his hands on this girl, and he healed her, because every now and then the divine will use my
Mhm.
twin. And that's
Yeah.
part of why these masculines are so veiled, because they are so powerful, and
Yes.
he's not ready.
Yes.
But no, my
Yes.
twin and I, he is the aspect of Enoch and Metatron, and that's who he is. And
Yes.
I know that. And I
Yes.
know who him and I are, and I know why in the very beginning of us coming together, the dark energies were really trying to attack us and attack him, because
Yep.
they
Same thing for
know
me.
who we
Same thing
are,
happened to me.
who we
Wow.
are, because we are powerful beings. And to
Powerful.
be
Yeah.
okay with saying that you are a powerful being, now
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
use your judgment. When you listen to someone and they're just talking from their ego, they're talking from a place of ego, but I
Yes.
know who
Yes.
I am. I know who.
Um, Pamela was asking, how do you figure out? Well, everything was led to me by the Holy Spirit. So it took me like 2 years of uncovering myself with the identities and stuff. So it's not where you just go searching and say, "Ooh, I want." No, it just happens. It
Right,
just
right. You don't
happens.
get to pick, just like your spirit guides and your animal totems. You don't get to pick an eagle because you like eagles. The eagle will come to you. You know, maybe your spirit
Mm-hmm.
animal is a mouse, and the mouse is coming to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, or the stink
Mm-hmm.
bug coming to me all the time. Like, who picks a stink bug?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
they will come to you. And this was guided to me because I kept hearing Shekinah. I kept hearing that. I would go to sleep and I would say it and I would speak in my angelic language and I would hear like Shekinah and who I am. And then it dawned on me. Then it all started just coming to me. I'm like, yes, yes. Because I know my twin was a scribe. I know he was one of those people that he just knew the Bible, like, and he knows it. Like, it's just uncanny. All the
Yes.
codes, because the
Yes.
Bible's full of codes. It's
Yes.
not what you think it is. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
just comes to you. I can't, was that Pam's question? How do you know? It just, you don't,
Yeah, she said, how do you figure it out? I mean, because it took, like I said, for me, it was like months and months of and signs and syncs and numbers and even where I'm located and things that come out of people's mouth and everything. But I feel even when I was listening to you, Candace, is that the masculine, they are they know there's a knowing that they know within themselves that they're powerful because most of everyone has been someone famous anyway, and it's
yeah.
just I really feel that it'll come to you, especially more open you are, and that you are allowing things to flow to you to understand that. And I really feel that they some of the power has been held back from them because of how much balancing that has to occur with us, because we had a lot of power on the earth, but it was taken away because of the misuse and misappropriation of our gifts and trying to control each other and the chaos and all that stuff. And so all of this is starting to come back because I've noticed some of my gifts are returning a lot. And it's
Mm-hmm.
coming in, in drones. And my twin told me he knows. He said, I'm a healer. I said, I know you are, because he's a shaman and very powerful. So I know he has healing hands also. So I'm listening to you, Ken. It's like, wow, it's amazing. And yes, there has been an unbalance of power. And so what I know, I feel is that they are going through their own identity, as we call an identity. I don't want to say
Yes.
crisis. I just say identity moment. It's like, you know that there's something about you, but then when you know what you know, you're afraid of who you
Yes.
are because of the
That's,
power that you have.
yes.
You're
Well,
afraid of who you are.
my
Hmm.
twin is very afraid of who he is, and that's why he said I checked myself into the hospital. I'm like, you checked yourself, and this was before he met me. He also had been getting this is how I know what I know is true, because when my twin's mother was pregnant with him, she was
Hmm.
visited by an alien ship that was following her car, and it freaked her out because they know she was carrying in her belly. They know he was
Oh,
in, and just
yeah.
all different experiences he had of getting these powerful knowings, and he thought he was crazy. And I'm like, no, you're not crazy. The
Hmm.
Greys used to come to him all the time to try to mess with him and bother him, and
Hmm.
yeah. So it is true. All of us have been all of us light workers have been some from the past, either some type of well-known spiritual leader, some type of martyr that was put to death, that like Joan of
Yep.
Arc, all the people we know, all of us light workers have lineages and connections to those people. And if you really trust and are open to knowing who you are, what are you drawn to? When people ask me, I used to do a lot of past life stuff, and I just tell people, what are you naturally drawn to? Is there a point in history that you have an obsession with? Pay attention
Hmm.
to that obsession. Maybe you have an obsession with ancient Egypt, or you have an obsession with the 50s, or whatever. What is
Hmm.
your obsession? Pay attention to that. That can give you a clue to a past life. Now, who your soul's origin, and when I say my twin was Enoch, I'm not saying that was him in a past life, but that is him incarnated in the physical. Because
Yeah.
Metatron was the only archangel that was actually a human being, that my twin was Enoch incarnated now, that soul of Enoch. His soul was in
Yes.
Enoch in that time. That's who he is, an ascended master. I don't know if Enoch's an ascended master or not, but he's come down into
I'm
this.
I'm hearing yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
there's a
Yes.
difference with that and knowing that,
And you know
I've had a
what's
lot of
funny?
you guys. Hmm?
What's funny is that because I did a lot of research of so much data that was coming to me. Oh my God, it was nonstop. I was like Indiana Jones with uncovering who I was in my. I mean, seriously, Indiana Jones. It was great, and Nancy Drew, and Tom. I remember the name. Seriously, and oh my God. And I
Yeah.
even asked myself, like, who's this person? Who's in it? Because I know and I felt and I knew that key players return on the planet to whatever has to happen. You see what
They're
I'm
coming
saying?
back to the planet right now.
Yeah.
Yes. They're
Oh, yeah.
walking, they're coming back. A lot of divinity is coming, a lot of divinity is coming down into
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right
Because
now.
when I hear you talking about that, you had a lot of things that were trying to, oh gosh, I went through that same thing. My roof was banging, and I mean, it was just banging going on and stuff falling out my closet. It was a lot of energy and frequency to clear. And, and so even these things is what happened with a lot of us on our journey. And we might find our computers crashing too. And it's just energy and stuff that's coming out of us. And, how we're, how do you call it? It's just like it's like shifting through things that are even because even physical things carry energy, and so as we're ascending, so is our stuff, our phones, the
Hmm.
computers. My sunroom fell apart. When I say fell apart, mirror break down, the walls, the foundation, everything just break down, break down, break down.
Hmm.
So we fall apart so that we come back together again. And remember, for the feminine templates, we're carrying the masculine energy, and so we're kind of like helping with what we're moving forward with stuff, and then the masculine template is holding it together in a solidified state. And so it's a huge amount of data that I pick up on that they're carrying, and it's a lot of stuff that they're releasing. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? A lot of stuff, a lot of
There,
stuff, and it becomes heavy.
the masculine is even more trapped in the patriarchy templates than the feminine.
Yes.
Much more
Yes.
caught and trapped in these templates. And absolutely. And you have to, what I was saying in the beginning, a lot of my twin experienced much more psychic attacks after he met me and after him and I came together. There was even a
Mhm.
time that scared him, and I'll share this. This happened when my husband died. There were beings that came to him and lied to him
Wow.
and told them that I sent them. Yeah, he
Wow.
freaked out. He's like, they told me
That
that,
was to try to stop the process. That's all that was.
yes,
But you
they told
overcame it.
to made him
Mm-hmm.
think that I was trying to mess with him, and I said no. I said I would never do that to you, and he knows that. But yeah, there were some crazy things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
don't it doesn't happen so much anymore, but it did in
No,
the
it
beginning.
doesn't happen anymore with me either, because I had to do a lot of clearing. I had to do chanting, clearing, walking in circles in my house. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I
Yeah,
sure did. And I even
yeah,
had an alien spaceship that came to visit, and I did not go outside. Yes, it was
yeah,
really incredible, all these
yeah.
experiences. But I know that the masculine template, that it was still designed for them to stay entrenched, because the feminine, we had to rise into our goddess more. See, we
Yes,
had to rise into our goddess center more. It's necessary, very, very necessary. You see, because then we would be doing the same thing all over again, and all of that
we have to
stuff.
rise into our, and the feminine has to also become um, abundance. Her abundance, she needs to become financially secure where she can take care of herself and her abundance and be the queen of
Yes.
her world and the queen of her life. And a lot
Mhm.
of the divine feminines are not the queens of their life. They're dependent upon
No.
others. It's always important that you cannot be
Yes.
dependent. That's just what I've been learning, that you can't be dependent. You've got to be a free spirit. You've got to be free financially to take
Yes.
care of yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Because that you can't be dependent upon the masculine to take care of you, and
And
that's
we're not
just
to be saved, like we were told we were saved. And
yeah,
I mean, yes, at some point you will co-create with your divine counterpart, and it does become even more magnanimous. But it's not where we're dependent on each other. And when we're having that flow going in and out between it just becomes beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
yes.
You see what I'm saying? And but it's not where we're having attachment to any of this, and codependency, and um and thinking that it has to be this way in order for it to work, and all that stuff is really truly being free and sovereign, and also living and being authentic, truly, truly, truly being authentic, independent goddesses, and treated like queens. That's right. That means that we don't allow anyone, regardless of who they are, to talk to us and treat us any way. Feel like it doesn't mean that because you're connected to them that you're to allow certain things. You're to speak your truth and speak how you feel and all that. That's what helps you to come into balance, because we're also shifting away from those codes and breaking those principles down, the thinking that if you know you love someone, so you're supposed to put up with certain things. No, absolutely not. And that includes your children too. If you have children, you know,
Yes.
everything plays a role in this.
And you're not responsible for your children's feelings either. And we think that we have to be responsible for them being happy. That's what I struggle with, like trying to keep my boys happy all the time. And my friend, spiritual coach, she's like, you're not responsible for their feelings, even though they're your children.
Nope.
And that's a template that we have to break down as well too. You know,
Yes.
we are
Yes.
responsible for ourselves and our well-being. And these soulmates can come to us to teach us, to prepare us for the ultimate, because your twin is your ultimate mate. Your twin
Yes.
and I can create many, and even that, my twin has even told me that it scares him, the stuff him and I could do together. And I'm like, yeah, because there's a lot of power in twin flames, and we're not completely ready to contain that power, obviously. Otherwise we would all be with them.
Be
We'd all
there. Yes. 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 Because you know, this is the part of how we are practicing. I say practicing. I'm using the word practicing to navigate between both worlds, you know, like we're ascending higher in our consciousness with what we're experiencing and understanding it, and at the same time we're still in the physical body and we're honoring our feelings and speaking how we feel and saying what we're saying, you know what I mean? But if you stay too entrenched in on one aspect more than the other, then it'll start to become unbalanced. You see what I mean? And that's why it's important. And you know what, it's good to connect with someone who you can talk to freely about this, that they understand your journey, because you know, it's not made that you're really necessarily doing it alone, and there's moments when you're going to be alone with deciphering through everything. It's an ongoing process. There's no manual, there's no book to this. It's just really remembering who you are and the connection that you have to the divine, on where your journey is taking you, and just keep allowing and allowing and allowing, freeing with it, and still at the same time knowing that everything is always going to come out to be the highest and best for you, always, all the time. No judgments at all. See, no
Absolutely.
judgments at all. Mm-hmm.
Everything that, and that's something that I have learned in my experience, that nothing negative can come to me because
Exactly.
I trust the divine. So I don't worry so much about, I don't even worry about people breaking into my house and stealing from me. I don't worry about my car breaking down. And if it does, it does. I don't worry about that stuff. My ex-husband used to get so mad at me. He's like, you don't care about anything. I said, of course I care about things. It's just, I know that I'm divinely held and divinely protected. And I know if anything comes to me, it's just to teach me a lesson. But if any person comes to me, I either match them vibrationally, or they're here to teach me something. They're here to give me something that I'm supposed to learn. And that's really, you know, what it is. And like Sharon said, there is no book. There is no, you know, guidebook for this journey. There is not. We're just learning and trusting and going with the flow. And, you know, nothing negative can happen to me. And, you know, it because you get what you think about, you know, when you're the type of person, I remember I was in a Native American drumming circle, and the woman that ran the circle ended up dying of cancer. But when she told me the story of how she got her cancer, her sister had gotten cancer, and she had told the divine, give me her cancer so she doesn't have to die. And so she chose cancer and chose to die. And however misguided she thought it was, she thought about it, she was determined, give me her cancer, and she ended up getting cancer and dying. And
Oh my
that
gosh.
was because she thought about it and she prayed about it, and she, in her misguided way, that was how she was helping. Now that's an old ancient way of healing. That's what they used to do back in the day. I was one of those witches, one of those women that would swallow the illness and take on, there's a name for them, but I can't remember what it is. There's a name for those women, those that would swallow the illnesses or take them on into their own body, and that's how they healed people. But we've evolved past.
You think it was shamanic women?
There's some kind of women, when they would heal, they would take the sickness from that person and take it into their own body, and that's how they were able to heal. I'm gonna have to look it up and find out what the name of those women were that would do that. But it's very powerful of your mind, and you think, when you think something and you determine and set an intention, that it does happen. And this friend of mine, she set the intention that she was going to take her sister's cancer as her own, which the divine didn't ask her to do that. She wanted to do it. She manifested it. She created it.
Yes.
Now I say that to people because they would be upset, but she chose to have that cancer. And we don't choose it on purpose. We don't choose to be sick on purpose. It's usually something that has accumulated within our being over a time frame. You know? But always be mindful of your thoughts in everything.
Very, very mindful, especially now that we are in that period of outward manifestation, you see. So we have a few one under a minute or so, but it's a beautiful way to end this part is be conscious